Stop chasing me, I'm secretly married to a billionaire CEO. Chapter 1, Let's Get a Divorce. On our 7th wedding anniversary, my wife gave me a bouquet of lilies. I sighed in disappointment and discarded the romantic dinner I had carefully prepared, calmly proposing a divorce. She impatiently replied, "How long are you going to make a fuss about this? Jinan, didn't he know you're allergic to lilies? Can you stop being so petty?" I was infuriated, laughing sarcastically. We had agreed back then that if we were to part ways, she would give me a bouquet of lilies. Now, she is accusing me of making a big deal out of nothing? Without further questioning, I left, publicly declaring the end of our relationship and initiating the divorce. One day, 2 days passed, and Lin Qingya was convinced I was meant to be with her. A year later, when I planned to remarry, she frantically stopped me. "Shiyao, for our daughter's sake, can you give me one more chance? Today marks the 7th wedding anniversary of Lin Qingya and me." After midnight, as I was throwing away the carefully prepared dinner into the trash, she returned under the moonlight, casually instructing me. "I'm hungry. Make me a salad, but don't add purple cabbage." Because Lin Qingya is a career-driven woman, I had willingly become a stay-at-home husband to take care of her, avoiding any conflicts at work. But she went from thanking me to becoming accustomed to me, and eventually, ignoring my efforts, all within 3 years. Because I loved her, I had always been tolerant. Even when I was uncomfortable, I never expressed it. But thinking about what had just happened, I didn't move. When she finished her shower, her hair still wet, I remained seated on the couch, playing on my phone. I neither made the salad she wanted nor bothered to dry her hair with care. She frowned but said nothing, only pulling out an exquisite gift box from her bag and handing it to me. In a rare moment of softness, she said, "This is a new watch from Rio, take a look and see if you like it." I glanced at it, my expression unchanged. When we were dating, every important holiday between us, she would plan everything a month in advance according to my preferences. After we got married, however, she had become indifferent, letting her assistant prepare everything. Whatever the assistant bought was what she gave, without putting any thought into it. I took the watch, glanced at it briefly, then tossed it aside and looked up at her. In a calm tone, I said, "Let us get a divorce. When are you free? I'm ready anytime." After all, it was her assistant, Chen Jinan, who picked it out, so one more piece didn't matter. I had already seen this watch in Chen Jinan's social media. His was a limited edition, worth 3 times the price of mine. He posted a photo, boasting that it was a reward from Lin Qingya for his hard work. But anyone with a sharp eye could see through it. What kind of boss rewards their employee with a watch worth hundreds of thousands? Stop making a scene. Jinan, didn't know you're allergic to lilies, and he won't give them to you again. He only meant to wish us a lifetime of happiness. Lin Qingya sat beside me and defended Chen Jinan. Chen Jinan was a senior of Lin Qingya and a young heir of the Chen family. He fell for her at first sight. This privileged man willingly became her assistant to be close to her. With his family's power and influence, he brought many clients to Lin Qingya. Because of this, Lin Qingya highly valued him, but their relationship had long surpassed that of normal employer and employee. Some former colleagues told me that there were rumors about them dating, but neither of them had admitted it, so it was just idle gossip for others. I wasn't only blaming Chen Jinan for his deliberate closeness, but also Lin Qingya for not rejecting it. I snapped out of my trance, and before I could say anything, Lin Qingya thought I wouldn't care anymore. She changed the subject and asked, "How's Lele doing at school?" I came to my senses and shook my head. I'm not sure. Ironically, I, as her father, knew nothing about my daughter's life. Lin Qingya's parents disapproved of me as a stay-at-home dad, believing I didn't know anything about business and wouldn't be able to raise our daughter well. After all, the Lin family wanted to cultivate the next generation of business elites. Without my consent, they took our child away and raised her independently. If I couldn't get the child back, I could only visit the Lin family's old mansion more often. But the Lin elders also looked down on my family background, believing I carried bad habits that would negatively affect the child. They made it difficult for me to see her. In the past year, I had only seen my daughter a handful of times, fewer than the fingers on one hand. Upon hearing this, Lin Qingya frowned. "You should pay more attention to Lele. Stop focusing so much on games. You don't know anything except games. How do you expect to raise a child properly? Jinan is more qualified to be her father than you are." Chapter 2, The day she miscarried was my birthday. Chen Jinan was constantly running to the Lin family's house, and the Lin elders wouldn't stop him. How could I possibly compete with him? Yesterday afternoon, I went to the old mansion, hoping to take my daughter out to play for our anniversary. All I wanted was for the three of us to sit down and have a meal together. But when I arrived at the gate of the old mansion, I heard my daughter's excited voice through the iron fence, asking Chen Jinan, "Uncle Chen, I really like you. Can you be my dad instead of my real dad? My dad doesn't know how to do anything. He never comes to see me. I hate him." In that moment, I froze in place, my blood turning cold. My heart felt like it had been stabbed, bleeding uncontrollably. I wanted to approach and explain, but the gatekeeper saw me and stopped me. I couldn't even see my daughter's face. Thinking back to that moment, I felt dazed, and my resolve to divorce her grew even stronger. I spoke again, "Since you feel this way, I'll let Chen Jinan take my place. The divorce agreement is already ready. Don't worry, I'll leave with nothing. You don't have to worry about me taking a single cent from your Lin family." Lin Qingya seemed stunned for a moment, then her brows furrowed tightly, her voice laced with anger. "When Shiyao, can't you stop making trouble? Haven't I been good enough to you? I admit that it was my fault for not coming back in time today, but can't you put yourself in my shoes? I'm really busy with work. I'm so busy I don't even have time to rest. Do you really have to hold this against me?" Lin Qingya was indeed a business elite, constantly attending social events and being adored by everyone. Hearing this, I couldn't help but laugh, my smile full of sarcasm. "Is that so? You're so busy that you don't have time to rest, even to the point of miscarrying our child." Lin Qingya's expression froze, and she exclaimed in shock, "How do you know about this?" Then, as if realizing something, she suddenly stood up and demanded angrily, "You actually investigated me." Her accusatory words pierced my chest like a knife, twisting deeper into the already gaping wound. I couldn't stop myself from coldly laughing, suppressing the emotions inside me, and asked in return, "As the father of the child, shouldn't I know about this?" Not only had Lin Qingya hidden her pregnancy from me, but when she miscarried, the one by her side was still Chen Jinan. The day she miscarried was my birthday. I knew Lin Qingya was always busy, too busy to take a day off for my birthday, so I never expected her to rest just for me. I got up early, baked a small cake, and happily went to her company, hoping she could spare me 10 minutes to eat a slice of cake together. But as soon as I reached the company, I saw Chen Jinan hurriedly helping Lin Qingya into a car, rushing away. I stood not far off, stunned for a couple of seconds before I reacted and called out to Lin Qingya several times. But no one responded, and the car drove away. I worried something might have happened to her, so I rushed to follow the car. But even when I got to the hospital, I didn't know which department she was in. All I could do was drive and frantically call her. I dialed over 20 calls, but no one answered. For a moment, sanity returned, and I called Chen Jinan. It was quickly picked up. "Assistant Chen, where is Qingya? Where are you?" Chen Jinan answered slowly, "Qingya is undergoing a miscarriage operation right now." "What did you say?" I was stunned, my eyes wide in shock. Chapter 3, Such a vast difference in treatment. Chen Jinan scoffed at me, mocking, "As a husband, you didn't even know your wife was pregnant. No wonder she didn't want the child." With that, he hung up the phone before I could ask any questions. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, slammed the accelerator to the floor, and stared ahead with my eyes bloodshot. At that moment, I couldn't understand why Lin Qingya didn't want our child. I rushed to the hospital, wanting to confront her and stop it. In such a rush, accidents were bound to happen. A car in front of me changed lanes illegally. I was going too fast, and before I could brake, I crashed right into it. The next time I woke up, it was the following day. I was lying in a hospital bed, and the doctor told me that I had torn my knee ligaments and fractured my shin. It would take several months to recover. I couldn't get out of bed, and there was no one to take care of me, but all I could think about was Lin Qingya. A miscarriage was no small matter, and I didn't want to question Lin Qingya based solely on Chen Jinan's words before I even had a chance to see her or understand the situation. I could only wait until I was discharged from the hospital, then go find Lin Qingya to speak to her face to face. I didn't want Lin Qingya to worry, so I didn't tell her about the accident. Instead, I sent her a message, telling her to take good care of herself, to not just focus on work, and that her health was more important. I waited for a reply, but there was nothing. Fearing my message might be lost, I sent it again the next day. I didn't want to bother her with a call, but after not hearing back, I hesitated for days. Finally, I picked up the phone and called, fearing I might not be able to stop myself from questioning her the moment the call went through. For half a month, I kept reaching out, but no reply came from Lin Qingya. However, I did see a post from Chen Jinan on social media. On a business trip with the boss again. Took a break today and went on a boat tour. Below the caption were several selfies with Lin Qingya. In the photos, she was smiling happily. At that moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. I immediately called her. When the phone connected, I couldn't bring myself to question her right away. I paused for a moment, instinctively showing concern. How are you feeling? With such a heavy workload, can you handle it? You should really take a month off to rest. Is that all you called to say? Lin Qingya interrupted me impatiently, sounding a bit reproachful. I told you, if it's not something urgent, don't call me, just send a message. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. I have work to do. Wait, don't hang up just yet. I couldn't help but tell her the truth. I'm in the hospital. After you finish your work, come visit me when you have time. Being alone in the hospital was really hard for me, and I missed Lin Qingya. There was silence on the other end for 2 seconds, and without even asking why I was hospitalized, she refused outright. I'm busy. If you need someone to take care of you, hire a nurse. As soon as she finished speaking, I heard Chen Jinan's voice in the background. He teased her, Ms. Lin, your back is so fair, your skin is so delicate and tight, even an 18-year-old girl can't compare. Lin Qingya responded with a laugh, your mouth is the best at saying sweet things. And then, the call ended. Such a vast difference in treatment. I stayed on the line for a long time, holding the phone until my arm went numb. When the phone dropped from my hand, I suddenly realized how much of a joke I was. She was even more patient with Chen Jinan than with her own husband. That was the moment I truly considered divorce. I had been the one desperately holding this marriage together, and suddenly, I felt so tired. When my thoughts cleared, I opened my mouth to explain. The last time I was in the hospital, it was because of a car accident. Do you know why I had the accident? It was because Chen Jinan told me you were having a miscarriage. Chapter 4, this time, I'll let her down. I stared at her intently, not missing any of her reactions. Afterwards, I went to the hospital to ask. Your tests were all normal, and the baby was healthy. Why did you have to terminate the pregnancy? Lin Qingya's eyes flickered, a brief moment of guilt flashing across her face, but it was only for a second. The next moment, she defended herself boldly. I'm busy building my career. I don't have time to take care of a child. This child came at the wrong time. If I kept him, I wouldn't be able to do anything. Without hesitation, I said, if you had kept him, I could have taken care of the child. You make it sound easy. I'm the one who carried the baby for 10 months, and I'm the one who had to endure the pain. What else could you do for me besides take care of the child? Recovery after childbirth is hard. You think having a baby is as simple as talking about it? Lin Qingya's words did make sense. The only thing I could do was help take care of the child. The pain of childbirth, I couldn't fully empathize with, and I couldn't share it with her. But if I had a choice, I would have chosen to bear all of her pain without hesitation. Lin Qingya became more and more agitated, her face cold as she turned and walked back into the room. She didn't slam the door but left a small gap. This was the unspoken understanding we had after so many years together. Leaving a gap was her way of giving me a chance to step down and apologize. She was waiting for me to approach her first and make up. Whenever we argued, it was always me who lowered my head and apologized. This time, however, Lin Qingya would be disappointed. I no longer wanted to continue this marriage, where a third party had intervened and I received no respect. This time, and in the future, I wouldn't be the one to apologize or coax her anymore. Lin Qingya would never get that from me again. I went to the study and printed out the divorce agreement, which stated that the man would leave the marriage with nothing. Without hesitation, I signed it and placed it on the coffee table in the living room, where Lin Qingya would see it as soon as she came out. After signing it, I didn't even pack my things. I took advantage of the night to leave. The car I had been driving was Lin Qingya's, so I didn't take the car keys. I left the building on my own and hailed a taxi. With my head resting against the car window, I watched the neon lights pass by quickly. My memory started to rewind to when I first met Lin Qingya. We met in our first year of university. Lin Qingya was beautiful and came from a wealthy family, so she had many suitors as soon as school started. Most of them gave up after being rejected, but there were always some who liked to pursue relentlessly. That night, I was working part-time and was heading back to the dormitory, close to the curfew time. To get back quickly, I took a shortcut. As I walked down a tree-lined path, I heard a woman's screams. "Let go of me. I told you, I don't like you. If you keep this up, I'll call the police." A shameless man's voice came from the other side. "It's just the two of us here. No matter how loud you scream, no one will hear you. Lin Qingya, I'm doing you a favor by liking you. Don't push it. If you're not interested, why did you agree to meet me? I just wanted to talk to you face to face. Don't touch me, get away." I couldn't just stand by and ignore this situation. When the man tried to force himself on her, I kicked him away. The man cursed and tried to fight me, but I easily chased him off. Lin Qingya was crouching in the bushes, trembling all over. I took off my jacket and draped it over her, lowering my voice, afraid of startling her. "Which dorm are you in? For your safety, let me walk you back." After that night, Lin Qingya started following me around, insisting that she would repay me with her body. Chapter 5, I Will Never Beg Again. I knew deep down that we weren't from the same world, so I rejected her many times. She was like an invincible little cockroach, sending me breakfast every day without fail, no matter the weather. Every few days, she would send expensive gifts, all of which I returned unopened. In order to spend more time with me, Lin Qingya even came to the part-time job I was working at and applied for a position, working alongside me. How could a pampered young lady who had never done any manual labor serve food or carry trays? On her first day, she messed up many tasks and was scolded by the boss. In the end, I softened and took over the mess for her. After work, I pulled her into a small alley behind the restaurant and urged her to go home. While I was trying to reason with her, she suddenly stood on tiptoe and kissed the corner of my lips. My words were cut off, and I froze, looking at her in disbelief. Under the moonlight, she smiled shyly, her courage shining through as she confessed, "When Shiyao, I think I like you even more now. What should I do?" At that moment, I could hear the rapid beating of my own heart. From then on, we naturally ended up together. She loved painting, and her dream was to become an artist and hold her own art exhibition. So, I took her to find beautiful scenic spots to inspire her. At first, the Lin family opposed Lin Qingya painting, thinking it was a waste of time. They were even more outraged that she was with a poor guy like me. Lin's parents ordered her to break up with me. It was either me or her passion for painting, or she could return to the family and take over the family business. In the end, she chose me without hesitation, giving up her beloved painting and starting to study boring business knowledge. I felt heartbroken for her and guilty, so after graduation, I joined the company and worked under her, fighting alongside her. To help her get clients, I drank so much at business dinners that I developed a stomach ulcer. After narrowly surviving that, I didn't rest. I single-handedly created a large-scale game, handling every process by myself. After working day and night for months, I managed to revive Lin's gaming business, turning it into the company's most profitable project. At that time, I was extremely grateful that I majored in computer science. It was after that event that Lin's parents began to view me differently, and they finally showed me a little respect. 3 years ago, when Lin Qingya gave birth, she suffered severe blood loss and almost died. The baby's condition wasn't promising either. To take care of the frail child and Lin Qingya, I chose to return to the family and handle all the household matters. Under my careful care, both the baby and Lin Qingya recovered quickly. But to my surprise, once the baby was healthy, Lin's parents took the child away. After Lin Qingya recovered, she returned to the company, working tirelessly, trying to make up for the work she had missed. As for me, my exceptional work performance made Lin's parents suspicious. They feared I might try to seize control of the Lin family business. Lin Qingya told me she didn't believe I would do such a thing, but she never brought up the topic of me returning to the company again. She still didn't trust me. To avoid suspicion, I didn't bring up returning to work either. I believed I hadn't done anything wrong to the Lin family or to Lin Qingya, yet in the silent corners, I was gradually being ignored. When I finally made up my mind to confirm our relationship, I told her about my severe allergy to lilies. Lilies have a lot of pollen, and just a minute of exposure could cost me my life. Before, my alcoholic father had used this as a punishment to torment me, and I wasn't sure how many times I had barely escaped death because of it. So, if Lin Qingya ever decided that she no longer wanted to be with me but was too embarrassed to say so, I would know immediately if she sent me a lily. I would never try to beg her again. Chapter 6. Didn't you say you wanted a divorce? After Lin Qingya heard that, she was heartbroken and cried uncontrollably. I looked at her with a smile, wiping away her tears. I'm talking about my own problems, why are you crying? I feel sorry for you, you idiot. Lin Qingya scolded me before hugging me tightly. I promise I'll never let you see lilies again. I won't break up with you. We'll be together forever. But this 7th wedding anniversary, Chen Jinan sent a huge bouquet of lilies that could cost me my life. I don't know if Lin Qingya remembers this incident, but tonight, she didn't even explain, just casually brushed it off. But for me, I couldn't get past this. Call it narrow-mindedness or that I don't love her anymore, but either way, I'm tired. I can forgive Lin Qingya once, twice, maybe even a third time, but once the count keeps piling up. I'm human, not a god, and my energy is limited. Even if I love someone, I'll get tired, and eventually, I won't be able to bear it. So this time, I really intend to let go. The promises we made when we were young were sincere and passionate, I never doubted them. But in the end, they couldn't withstand the mundane struggles of life, the weariness of 7 years together. The car stopped, and a slight inertia pulled my thoughts back to reality. We had arrived at the destination. I paid the fare, got out of the car, and walked straight into an apartment building. In the past few years, I had been idle at home, so I created some small games to make money. But gaming is a high-profit industry, and given my abilities, the money I earned from developing a few small games was enough for me to buy this 2-bedroom apartment. This is my secret hideaway, where I heal on my own. Whenever I feel upset, I come here alone. This time was no different. I turned off my phone and shut myself off from the world. I immersed myself in movies and TV shows, occasionally watering the 2 small plants I had. I only remembered to eat when I got hungry. After 3 days of such lazy and desolate living, a sharp pain abruptly yanked me out of my sleep. The pain in my stomach made me break into a cold sweat. For a moment, I even thought I might die from the pain. After the pain subsided a bit, I immediately took a taxi to the hospital and went to the emergency room. As I turned my phone back on to make the payment, I noticed that Lin Qingya had called me several times. My dead heart suddenly started beating again, and a tiny bit of hope stirred within me. I had been hiding for 3 days, yet she called me so many times. Could this mean she still cared about me? With that thought, the physical pain seemed to lessen a bit. I quickly answered the phone. Lin Qingya was obviously taken aback, probably not expecting me to pick up. I thought she would be concerned about where I had been the past few days, but instead, she opened with sarcasm. Didn't you say you wanted a divorce? Where are you? You left the divorce papers and disappeared. Is this funny to you? How many more times do you plan to use this divorce trick to threaten me? Lin Qingya's questioning was deeply disappointing. Maybe when someone is sick, they crave a little unrealistic concern. I felt my eyes dull, and I quietly told the truth. Qingya, I'm at the hospital for stomach pain. The doctor said I need an 4. Can you? Didn't he realize Mr. Wen is such a liar? Came a sarcastic male voice from behind me. I froze, turned around, and saw Chen Jinan. Chapter 7. Then you can just die. I frowned. What do you mean by saying I lied? Chen Jinan ignored my questioning and raised his arm, saying to himself, I was injured, so I came to the emergency room. I didn't expect to meet you here by chance. My eyes swept over his arm. It was just a little scratch, and a little blood seeped out of the skin surface. Fortunately you came quickly, otherwise the wound should have healed. I raised my thin lips and mocked him. Chen Jinan's face turned angry, and then he pointed at my phone and raised the volume. Mr. Wen, I know you don't like me, but I'm afraid of tetanus. It's normal to see a doctor, isn't it? Mr. Wen, you look very good and energetic. Why did you lie to Mr. Lin? Today, Mr. Lin is in talks with people from Dingxing Group. This is related to Lin's second half of the year. Do you know how important it is? Even if you want to trick Mr. Lin, you have to choose another time. I hope Mr. Wen can consider the overall situation. Chen Jinan turned the facts upside down in a few words. Before I could explain, Lin Qingya's angry voice came from the phone. Wen Shiyao, are you done? How can you lie to me about this? My patience is limited. I won't indulge you every time you make trouble. You'd better stop when you're done. I was stunned, and the words I wanted to explain were swallowed back at the corner of my mouth. It's like this again. She will believe every word Chen Jinan says unconditionally. A feeling of exhaustion came over me, and I suddenly felt too lazy to explain. I replied indifferently, whatever you think. After that, I wanted to hang up, but Chen Jinan took the phone away. He said to the phone, Mr. Lin, I was hit by a tram on their way back from meeting a client just now. My arm was injured and I was sent to the hospital by a kind person. I'm afraid I can't drive with my hands. Can you pick me up after get off work? I didn't rush to snatch the phone back. I was so calm, watching like a bystander. Lin Qingya agreed without any hesitation. Okay, I'll pick you up at the hospital after I finish discussing the cooperation. Send me the location. How ironic that my wife promised to pick up another man after get off work while talking to herself. After Chen Jinan hung up the phone, he handed the phone back to me. He kept staring at me, as if trying to find an expression on my face that satisfied him. I knew he wanted to see my lost and heartbroken expression, but unfortunately he was disappointed. This phone call reminded me again that there was no need for Lin Qingya and I to continue. I took back my phone, paid the money and went to get in for. Chen Jinan suddenly blocked my way. Don't you want to know how far Qingya and I have progressed? He raised his eyebrows, suddenly approached me, and spoke with a voice that only the two of us could hear, with a smug look on his face. Last time we were on a business trip, we stayed in the same room. What do you think would happen in the room between a man and a woman? Lulu even called me dad several times in private. Qingya didn't say anything after hearing it. Do you know what this means? Wen Shiyao, I admire you very much. It's rare for a man to live as unsuccessfully as you. If it were me, I would have been too ashamed to live and would have chosen to die. I pulled the corner of my mouth, and the coldness in my eyes was bone-chilling. Really? Then you can just die. After I finished speaking, I punched Chen Jinan's eyes fiercely. 8. If Lin Qingya had no intention, how could she have allowed Chen Jinan to stay with her for so many years? I only regretted why I didn't quit this marriage that made me extremely exhausted and painful earlier. The people around were stunned and didn't dare to come up to stop the fight. Chen Jinan lay on the ground, moaning in pain. I gave him a contemptuous look, took a tissue from the nurse to wipe the blood off my hands, and deliberately raised the volume so that everyone could hear. If you dare to seduce my wife again, next time it will be more than just a beating you up. After their words fell, the eyes of the people who sympathized with Chen Jinan just now changed instantly, looking at him with contempt, and no one was willing to come forward to help. The security guard who rushed overheard what I said and chose to turn a blind eye. A mistress is the most despised by the world. Chen Jinan stood up from the ground, embarrassed, and said to me, Wen Shiyao, you wait. After that, he ran to the doctor's office. I was too lazy to pay attention to him, so I took the prescription to the nurse for N4. I sat on the chair, feeling the pillow digging into my skin, and the cold liquid slowly flowing into my blood vessels. I leaned against the wall with my eyes closed, feeling a little drowsy. Chen Jinan sat not far from me at some point, and when I was about to fall asleep, I suddenly heard hurried footsteps. I was woken up, opened my eyes, and just met Lin Qingya's surprised eyes. Her eyes swept across the back of my hand connected to the for tube, and she was stunned for a moment. Are you really uncomfortable? I looked away and ignored her. At this time, Chen Jinan stood up with a bruised head and shouted, Mr. Lin. Lin Qingya's attention fell on Chen Jinan, and she was obviously shocked to see him like this. She hurried forward. What happened to you? Is it so badly scratched? It's not a scratch. Chen Jinan said, looked at me, and said in a teasing tone, just now I said a few words that Mr. Wen didn't like to hear, and he just hit me. It's my fault, I shouldn't have said too much. Chen Jinan is indeed a language artist. He aroused Lin Qingya's love in just a few words. She comforted Chen Jinan for a few words, walked to me angrily, and said coldly, "Who allowed you to hit someone? Go and apologize to him." I refused without thinking. Impossible. It happened that this was my last bottle, and I had already lost the bottom, so I called the nurse to help me remove the needle. After removing the needle, I was ready to leave, and Lin Qingya called the bodyguard over in a rage. "Hold him down. If you don't apologize to Jinan today, don't even think about leaving. When Shiyao, I'll give you another chance. Apologize yourself. I don't want to make a fool of myself outside." She said it as if I had to thank her. I ignored her with a cold face, threw away the cotton swab for stopping bleeding, stood up and was about to leave. The two bodyguards immediately walked towards me after receiving Lin Qingya's eye signal. A cold flash flashed in my eyes, and I stared at them coldly. "Do you dare to touch me? Get out of here if you don't want your arm to be dislocated." Lin Qingya's bodyguards were all selected by me. Their strength was worth my test. They naturally knew how powerful I was. The two stopped at once after I scolded them, looked at each other, and didn't move forward again. I looked at Lin Qingya and said in a tough tone, "I'll wait for you at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. If you don't come, I'll file for divorce. Anyway, I'm going to divorce this marriage." Chapter 9: A Silent Invitation. I went home, took a shower, ate, and fell into a deep sleep after taking the medicine. I slept until the next morning. I went downstairs to take a taxi to the Civil Affairs Bureau, but saw Lin Qingya's car parked at the door of the apartment building. She should be going to divorce with me. But I don't plan to go with her car. When I passed her car, Lin Qingya got out and called me, "When Shiyao, I can't divorce you today." I was startled and turned to look at her. "What do you mean?" The energy she showed in the hospital yesterday to protect Chen Jinan made me more sober. I won't be so narcissistic as to think that she can't live without me. Lin Qingya said straight to the point, "Next month is Grandpa's 70th birthday banquet. You know he is in poor health. Grandpa can't stand such a big stimulation. You will accompany me to the birthday banquet next month, and I will divorce you after the banquet." If Lin Qingya said anything about others, I would never care, but when it comes to Grandpa Lin, I have to agree. Grandpa Lin treats me very well. He really treats me like his own grandson. It was because he said a lot of good things for us that I was able to marry Lin Qingya so smoothly. When we first met, Grandpa Lin patted my shoulder with a smile. "Young man, you are really strong and energetic, not bad. Grandpa believes that you will have a great future." The old man has a heart disease. If he knew that I divorced Lin Qingya, what if he got excited? I dare not think about the consequences. I was silent for a long time, nodded in agreement. "Okay, remember what you said." After that, I turned and walked into the building. Lin Qingya grabbed me and asked an irrelevant question, "Do you have a suit?" I have lost a lot of weight in the past few years, and my previous suits are not so suitable, and I don't need those clothes when I stay at home. But many important people will come to the old man's 70th birthday party. This is a formal party, and I really need to buy a suitable suit. I pulled my hand back. "I'll buy it myself." Lin Qingya sneered and said, "Is that your taste?" Lin Qingya always thought that my aesthetic taste in buying clothes was not good. She had ordered all my suits before. After being habitually ignored for the past few years, I bought all my clothes by myself, but her disdain never changed. It just so happens that I have time today. Get in the car and buy the suit. Don't embarrass me in front of outsiders. I'm not afraid of embarrassment, but it's the old man's birthday, so I want to dress decently. It's a good time to pick a gift for him. I finally got in the car and went to the mall with Lin Qingya. She took me to their high-end suit store that I often went to before, and took several suits for me to try. I don't know if it was a coincidence or other reasons, but several suits fit me perfectly. Lin Qingya waved her hand and asked the clerk to pack them all. I took a look at the checkout amount and made a mental note, thinking that I would transfer all the money to her when I got home. I thought I was just going to buy a suit, but Lin Qingya dragged me into a women's clothing store, picked a skirt and went into the fitting room. I used to go shopping with Lin Qingya, and I enjoyed waiting for her to come out of the fitting room, which made my eyes light up. I would be happy to wait for a long time or help her carry more things. Now I was sitting in the store, feeling impatient. When I was thinking about whether to leave directly, Lin Qingya called me. "Shiyao, the chain behind me is stuck, come in and help me." The sales lady took me to the door of the fitting room with a smile, and walked away tactfully. I sighed, pushed open the door of the fitting room and went in. Lin Qingya had her back to me, and the zipper was only pulled a little bit, revealing a large piece of smooth skin in the air. I couldn't help but roll my Adam's apple, and suppress the impulse in my heart, reaching out to carefully pull out Lin Qingya's hair stuck in the zipper. The fitting room was not big to begin with, and when I came in, the space became even smaller. Lin Qingya almost stuck to me. With a swish, the zipper was pulled up instantly. I felt relieved, and when I looked down, I found that Lin Qingya was wearing a tube-top dress. From my angle, the woman's chest was shining, and it was all in my sight. My eyes darkened a little. Although I was completely disappointed with Lin Qingya, I still loved her in my heart, but I just realized that we couldn't go on. How could someone who had loved for so long just stop loving? The two of us were very close, and the sound of the fabric rubbing against each other was a bit ambiguous, and Lin Qingya also noticed it. She turned around, raised her head and stared at me closely, and licked her lips lightly with the tip of her tongue. It was a silent invitation. Every time she wanted me to kiss her, she would do this. Her eyes were glued to me, getting closer and closer, her red lips almost touching mine. She opened her mouth, and her warm breath sprayed on my face. Shiyao, don't you want it? Chapter 10, deliberately making her embarrassed. My Adam's apple rolled, and my dark eyes stared at her. Usually, I couldn't hold back after Lin Qingya teased me a little. This time, she didn't expect me to be so patient. She was a little angry, and she directly stretched out her hand to hook my neck, raised her head and kissed me, biting and nibbling on my lips, kissing randomly without any rules. I always made fun of her poor kissing skills, but at this moment, I couldn't hold back the impulse in my heart. I grabbed the back of her head regardless of anything, deepened the kiss, and slid my flexible tongue into her mouth, sweeping it wantonly. The repression of these days finally broke out at this moment. My big hand groped along the hem of her skirt. I pinched her waist, and her whole body softened like a pool of spring water and leaned on me. Lin Qingya's palms fumbled around my chest for a while, and when she was about to untie my belt, her cell phone rang suddenly. The clerk knocked on the door. "Mr. Lin, your phone is coming." We both stopped moving instantly, leaving only the sound of heavy and restrained breathing. Lin Qingya opened a crack in the door and took the phone, which showed an incoming call from Chen Jinan. Just as she was about to answer, my palm covered the screen. I stared at her face, which was still bathed in love, and said in a low and hoarse voice, "Are you sure you want to answer his call at this time?" She frowned and said, "What if it's something very important?" As she said that, she pulled my hand away and answered the phone. "Mr. Lin, my wound seems to be inflamed, and it hurts so much that I can't open my eyes. Can you take me to the hospital?" Lin Qingya looked a little nervous and immediately agreed. "Is it serious? Wait for me, I'll go there now." As long as she encounters Chen Jinan, she will always be so nervous. I felt unhappy and had some thoughts of revenge, so I pinched her waist hard. Lin Qingya couldn't help but gasp, and when she realized it, she immediately covered her mouth. There was silence on the other end of the phone. After hanging up the phone, Lin Qingya's face was gloomy and she looked furious. "What are you doing? You are deliberately trying to embarrass me." My face was not good either. "You deliberately embarrass yourself. Didn't you let me into the fitting room and kiss me on your own initiative? Why are you blaming me now? You..." Lin Qingya's pretty face blushed. "It's unreasonable." As she said that, she pushed me out of the fitting room with a gloomy face, changed her clothes and wanted to leave. "Stop, Lin Qingya, you want to leave now?" Lin Qingya looked surprised. "Do you have any objections to this? Chen Jinan's wound is inflamed. I have to send him to the hospital quickly." Although I already had this premonition, after verification, I still felt cold in my heart. "Lin Qingya, that's enough. You can't wait to hear that your wild man's wound is inflamed. I was lying in the hospital for half a month, but where were you? Although I have made up my mind to divorce this green tea bitch, I am still angry when I see that she left obediently with a phone call from the other party." "When Shiyao, what do you mean?" Lin Qingya was anxious. "I didn't expect that you still remember what happened last time, but I was really busy at that time, and now we are shopping in the mall, there is no comparison at all." I nodded coldly. "Yes, you were really busy at that time, but you were busy traveling with the wild man, so I was alone in the hospital for most of the month and didn't see you." The clerk screamed next to me, "Oh, Mr. Lin, sir, why are you still arguing?" The clerk was helpless. "When Shiyao, Jinan must be sent to the hospital now." You can't stop me. The woman walked away resolutely. I shook my head as I watched her leave without looking back. This is Lin Qingya, who has been married to me for 7 years. When she heard that her assistant's wound was inflamed, she left in a hurry without caring about my feelings. I smiled and walked away, but was stopped by the salesperson. Sir, don't go. Your clothes. Chapter 11. This guy is murderous. Lin Qingya has already paid for these clothes. I paused for a moment, but didn't look back, give the clothes away, or throw them in the trash. After saying that, I turned around and left. I was tricked and felt very bad. I didn't continue to buy gifts for the old man. Anyway, there was still a month left, so I returned home. Lying on the bed, looking through the circle of friends, I saw the bragging photos posted by Chen Jinan again. They were sweet photos of Lin Qingya accompanying him in the hospital for various examinations. This scumbag also added a caption, "Thank you for the concern of the beautiful president." When she heard that my wound was inflamed, she hurriedly took me to the hospital for examination. According to the president, she was accompanying her husband to buy clothes at the time. It can be seen that the president cares about me very much. I will definitely try my best to repay the president. Seeing the other party showing off in the circle of friends, I gritted my teeth and nodded. This bastard would not post such photos to his friends. I guess he made a special setting, that is, the other party deliberately only let me see it. This guy is really murderous. I didn't go out for 2 days. Apart from playing games, I just lay in bed and did nothing. On the 3rd day, this piece was completely broken. Beep beep. Someone knocked on the door. I didn't think much about it. I threw down my phone, got up from the bed, and went to open the door. After opening the door, I found a dozen men in black standing outside, with murderous looks on their faces. I realized that I was reckless. No one knew that I bought a house here. I was confused and opened the door directly. The leader was a fat man with a bad face. When he saw me open the door, he frowned. "Are you Wen Shiyao?" I nodded. "Who are you looking for? Are you mistaken? I don't know you." The fat man sneered. "It's Wen Shiyao, we are looking for you." As he said, this guy pushed me away and entered the house murderously. And the dozen men behind him also came in with a whoosh, and then slammed the door. My heart sank when the other party did this, and I immediately realized that something was wrong. "What do you want to do? This is my home, get out of here." After the fat guy came in, he ignored my roar. He pouted and looked at the furnishings in the living room, then raised his leg and stepped on the coffee table. "Boy, let us go out, you are so brave." Seeing this group of people looking at me like bandits, I realized that this might be the bastard Chen Jinan, who wanted to make trouble for me. However, this matter has not been finally confirmed. "Brother, we have no grudges in the past and no hatred in the present, what are you doing?" The fat guy laughed wildly. "Boy, you have offended someone you shouldn't have offended. Today we come here to punish you." Understanding what was going on, I narrowed my eyes, but still said polite words. "Big brother, can you tell me who I offended? Let me know." The fat man said arrogantly, "Boy, your brain was kicked by a donkey. You don't even know who you offended. In this case, I will wake you up. Guys, go get him." "What? Go get me? I'm a man." I took a step back. Har har har. The fat man and his men laughed as if they had heard the funniest joke. "Brother, this guy must be scared silly. He actually said such a thing." The smile on the fat man's face slowly stiffened. He pursed his lips and said, "With this bear-like appearance, if there are too many people, he will probably piss himself. 2 of them will go over there and loosen up his muscles first." Hearing this, the 2 men rushed towards me. Seeing the lightning-fast attack from the other side, I felt that these people were well trained, but my 2-bedroom apartment was very narrow and there was no place to hide. I took 2 steps back and pretended to be extremely frightened. "Brothers, if you have something to say, please talk it over. Don't use force." Chapter 12. If I have wronged you, you will know if I have wronged you. A guy who jumped over laughed evilly. "I like to use force. What do you say?" Another guy was not willing to be left behind. They rushed in front of me almost at the same time. I did not dodge again. I hugged the shoulders of the 2 guys and exerted a little force. With a bang, the heads of the 2 guys hit each other heavily. After screaming, they fell to the ground and fainted. Soon, I knocked down several people, including the fat man. No, this kid is not simple. I snorted coldly, looking at the fat man who was covering his nose and bleeding, and said contemptuously, "Just saw it. It's too late." The fat man roared, pulled out a dagger, and rushed over again. The scene was reversed. When the dagger was in my hand, they finally knew they were afraid. The fat man couldn't stop shaking. Big brother, there must be a misunderstanding here. I just took the money to do the job. I smiled and put the dagger against his neck. "So, who sent you?" Seeing that the fat man still wanted to lie, I exerted force on my hand, and blood oozed out. He immediately confessed, it was Chen Jinan. It was him who gave us a sum of money and asked us to cause trouble. Although I had expected it, when I really heard this name, I still clenched my fists unconsciously. I suppressed the anger in my chest and said coldly, "Go back and tell your master not to do these shady things. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless." The fat man nodded like pounding garlic and wanted to run with his people. I shouted, "Stop. Clean up this place, otherwise no one can leave." Naturally, they didn't dare to resist, and honestly cleaned up the mess left by the fight. After a mental struggle, I held the last glimmer of hope and called Lin Qingya. "Can you control your pretty boy? He's here to find me." "Wen Shiyao, are you crazy? Jinan is right beside me, what's the matter with him?" Faced with Lin Qingya's series of questions, my heart felt like it was blocked by something and it hurt. I was silent for a while, and Chen Jinan couldn't sit still. He knew exactly what he had done, so he naturally knew what I was talking about. Lin Qingya had always been unreserved to him. Even when it was a call from me, her husband, she would turn on the hands-free mode and ask Chen Jinan to listen, saying that it gave him a sense of security. "Boss Lin, I didn't do anything. I don't understand what Wen Shiyao is saying." Chen Jinan pretended to be harmless, with his mouth drooping, looking at Lin Qingya with grievance. If green tea has a rating, Chen Jinan is the highest level. Lin Qingya loves him very much, so naturally she can't stand my nonsense. She didn't care about the truth of the matter, and scolded me with displeasure. "You almost got Wen Shiyao, and I know what kind of person Jinan is. Besides, he stays with me all day, how can he have time to find you? Everyone is busy, unlike you who do nothing all day." Lin Qingya said the last sentence in a low voice, but I still caught it clearly. Who am I willing to be a househusband for? I was so depressed that Lin Qingya's words were undoubtedly the last straw that broke the camel's back. "Lin Qingya, Lin Jinan sent someone to my house, and now my arm is still bleeding, and you still want to protect this pretty boy." I expressed my indignation, and in return I got a cold snort from Lin Qingya, "Don't bother with Wen Shiyao. Instead of making up stories here, you might as well find something to do for yourself." Chen Jinan seized the opportunity and quickly got up and came behind Lin Qingya. He put his hands on her shoulders and massaged her. "Don't be angry, Mr. Lin. Why should you be angry with such a person? I am innocent. No matter what he says, as long as you believe me, Mr. Lin." Through the phone, I can imagine Chen Jinan's disgusting green tea look. I am usually kind, but it doesn't mean I don't have a temper. He found someone to block my door, and then he spoke rudely. No matter how good my temper is, I can't stand it at this moment. What kind of person am I? Better than some green tea? Whether I am wronging you or not, let's ask and we will know. As I said, I turned on the hands free of the phone and raised my hand to the fat man. The fat man was lying on the ground, carefully wiping the dirt he left behind. Looking at the phone I handed over, he didn't hesitate at all, and crawled towards me with his hands as legs. It's you Chen Jinan. If I had told you that this big brother was so powerful, I would definitely not take your order." Chapter 13 I won't let you be wronged. The situation is very clear. I thought Chen Jinan had no way to defend himself. Even Chen Jinan was a little panicked, thinking hard about how to explain to Lin Qingya. But I never expected that Lin Qingya had already found an excuse for him without him saying anything. "Wen Shiyao, are you interested? Just find someone and say that he was sent by Jinan. Do you think I'm a fool?" Lin Qingya rolled her eyes and waved in the direction of Chen Jinan, telling him to rest assured. My heart stopped for a moment, and I felt a piercing pain. The hand holding the phone tightly, I don't know when, has lost its color. "Lin Qingya, don't you believe me? Would you rather believe Chen Jinan's one-sided words than me?" Lin Qingya didn't seem to think there was anything wrong. She just crossed her legs and replied nonchalantly, You are just saying one side of the story, aren't you? She was so protective of her child that the truth of the matter was no longer important. In her eyes, I was not as good as Chen Jinan. Boss Lin, thank you. I didn't expect you to trust me so much. Don't worry, I won't let you down. I won't admit it if it wasn't me. Chen Jinan didn't miss the chance to lick his boots and used all the compliments he could think of. He won Lin Qingya's unconditional trust without any effort. The fat man who was half kneeling beside me was stunned for a while, and his body couldn't stop shaking, fearing that I would take it out on him again. After a little hesitation, he cried out with tears in his eyes, it was Chen Jinan. He gave me a sum of money. I have the transfer record to prove it. The fat man knew that he could earn money but not spend it, and finally tried to beg for my forgiveness. But Lin Qingya snorted coldly and hung up the phone. Finally, he still muttered, don't worry, Jinan, I won't let you be wronged. My explanation became pale and powerless before Chen Jinan's green tea speech. Facing my extremely disappointed eyes, the fat man subconsciously took 2 steps back. Brother, I have explained it, but the other party doesn't believe it. I can't do anything. For a moment, I felt like a joke. The wound on my arm was stinging, and I was too lazy to argue with the fat man. Go away. The room returned to peace. The mess on the ground was also cleaned up by the fat man and his group. I looked at the bleeding wound on my arm, and my lips gradually turned pale due to blood loss. Lin Qingya's destruction of me was far more painful than that blood mark. I was dizzy and the scene in front of me was distorted. Using the last bit of strength, I called the online car-hailing driver to take me to the hospital. My arm was bandaged 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. In the infusion area late at night, except for me, everyone else was in pairs or families. I dragged my tired body and stared at the glass jar above my head, afraid that no one would notice that the liquid had run dry. When Shiyao. My eyelids were fighting, and my thoughts were wandering. I always felt that someone was calling my name, but I couldn't be sure. Until that white dress broke into my sight, and the woman's smiling face appeared in my mind, I also came back to my senses and saw who was in front of me. Xiao, Lin Qingya and I were college classmates. At that time, I studied computer science, and they both majored in fine arts. Xiao and Lin Qingya were equally matched in college, and both were the best in their majors. Girls rarely appreciate each other, and the relationship between the two was not very good during their student days, and they could be regarded as mortal enemies. Back then, I loved Xiao and his wife, and my impression of Xiao was neither good nor bad. I was silent and didn't say anything. Xiao asked again, are you alone? She also sat down next to me. I moved to the side, well, it's just in 4, I can do it alone. This was the first time I looked at this woman up close. Xiao exuded a cool temperament, but she didn't make people feel alienated. The delicate facial features with a little makeup, the friendly smile, the beauty is beyond description, not inferior to any first-line star. The curvy figure outlines the perfect curves. Because the distance was very close, the refreshing fragrance penetrated into my nose from time to time, which made me stunned for a while. Xiao seemed to see through my stubbornness at a glance, holding up his chin and looking up at the empty 4 bottle. Really? Then why didn't you call the nurse in time? Chapter 14 Long time no see, Xiao. Following Xiao's line of sight, I realized it later. I don't know when, the 4 bottle above my head was empty. The air was squeezed, and my blood was sucked back into the infusion tube. The back of my hand also felt a sharp pain. I was about to get up and call the nurse, but Xiao got there first. Nurse, come here. She waved in the direction of the nurse, then turned and looked at me with soft eyes. When Shiyao, you are such a big fool. Xiao and I are not familiar with each other. The only intersection is probably about Lin Qingya. I remember that Lin Qingya had no inspiration for painting at that time. She often went to the studio to scan the unfinished scrolls under the pretext of dating me. Among them, the name I saw the most times was Xiao. From landscapes to simple brushwork. The name Xiao is a hurdle that cannot be avoided in the art major. We have met a few times, and I can count them on one hand. Lin Qingya was not like now, and her ambition was not exposed. Every time she was very friendly, and she was like an ordinary friend who met by chance with Xiao, but her eyes were always erratic when chatting. Xiao's friendliness is traceable, and the ladies of noble families have always been like this. She did not shy away from extending her hand to me in front of Lin Qingya, smiling and saying hello. That afternoon, the sun shone on her body, dazzling, but I only had eyes for Lin Qingya. Seeing her again after many years, I felt like I was in another world. She didn't meet my gaze until she watched the nurse carefully change the bottle for me. What? She smiled playfully, and her hand touched the tube to send me some warmth. I suddenly felt dry in my mouth, licked my dry lips, and squeezed out a smile. Long time no see, Xie Lingqiao. You still remember me? Xie Lingqiao raised her pink eyebrows in surprise, and her eyes did not dodge, just like in the past. I was the first to give in, and moved my eyes away to try to ease the awkward atmosphere. Why are you here? Are you feeling unwell? Xie Lingqiao shook her head. No, I came to visit my grandfather. He has always been in poor health. Old people definitely need more care. As a granddaughter, I must do my part. Are you thirsty? Xie Lingqiao asked suddenly. Without waiting for my answer, she took out a thermos from her bag, the light pink one. Drink it. Don't worry, I'm the only one who has used it. I don't dislike you. Since Chen Jinan's group came to my house yesterday, I haven't had a drop of water until now. With a slight cough, I took it without hesitation. Thank you. Seeing me gulp down a whole bottle in one breath, Xie Lingqiao covered her mouth and chuckled. Realizing that I had lost my composure, I twitched my lips in embarrassment. Why are you laughing? I'm just too thirsty. Xie Lingqiao shook his head again. I just think you're a little cute. After all, my bottle is light pink. We, the art majors, can't stand inconsistent painting styles. But don't get me wrong, I'm not laughing at you. This is true. There was nothing strange in Xie Lingqiao's smile. This inexplicable kindness and the liquid with mixed temperatures flowing in the infusion tube made me a little dazed. I cleared my throat and asked with concern, is your grandfather okay? No. Xie Lingqiao shrugged. The old man has a good mentality. He is old, and he can accept some minor problems. Let's not talk about this, let's talk about you. Hey Shiyao, where are you now? Are you still with Lin Qingya? Chapter 15. Do you need my help? Lin Qingya is a sad thing for me, and I don't want to mention it. I didn't answer, but asked. I don't have a job, and I'm not with her. What about you? As a top student in the art major, did you stick to your dream? Xie Lingqiao was very considerate and knew I was changing the subject. She didn't ask any more questions, but smiled. Of course, painting is like chopsticks to me. Oh. I was curious about this metaphor. People have to eat, and they have to use chopsticks to eat. If they don't eat, they will be poor people. I took a long breath and thought that maybe this is art. Art is always incomprehensible to ordinary people. So that's it. I pretended to be enlightened. The West cannot do without Jerusalem, just like you, Xie Lingqiao, cannot do without a paintbrush. That's right. Xie Lingqiao gave me a thumbs up and cast an affirmative look. The answer is correct, full marks. Looking at her smiling face, I was unconsciously infected. The previous haze gradually dissipated because of her joke. The corners of my mouth raised unconsciously, and my spirit returned a little. So where are you at? Have you become a leader among painters? Xie Lingqiao gently stroked his forehead, with a cunning flash in his eyes. Not really, I can only say that I have achieved a little success. From her eccentric and confident performance, it is not difficult to see that her life and career are going smoothly. The calmness engraved in the bones cannot be pretended. After a few words, I have a great change in my opinion of Xie Lingqiao. Seeing others happy, I really feel infected. Sensing the change in my mentality, Xie Lingqiao grinned. Are you in a better mood? Be happy, what can't beat you will only make you stronger. I realized later that Xie Lingqiao's so-called irrelevant words were just to comfort me who was in a low mood. After all, the arm tightly wrapped in gauze was too obvious. I nodded and laughed from the bottom of my heart. Much better, thank you. We are so distant. Xie Lingqiao curled her lips. We are college classmates after all, why should I thank you or not? Tell me, what happened to your arm? You are imitating others to fight. If it were someone else, I might be reluctant to bring it up. But when it comes to Xie Lingqiao, for some reason, I have an urge to open my heart. Because I can really feel that the other party is caring about me. Besides, I am not sure when we will meet next time, so what's the harm in telling her? I no longer restrain my heart, and confess and be lenient. Well, it is true that I imitated others to fight, but I was acting in self-defense. The other party broke into their house privately, so I have no reason to sit back and watch. Xie Chao's smile froze. She didn't expect the matter to be so serious. She was embarrassed for a moment. I'm sorry, Before she finished, I waved my hand to stop her. You didn't even let me say thank you, and now you want to apologize to me. I felt relieved and laughed at myself. It's not a big deal, it's just that Lin Qingya cheated on me, and that man asked someone to teach me a lesson, that's all. I guessed that I was not doing well recently, but I didn't guess it was so bad. Xie Lingchao understood my sadness instantly and patted my shoulder gently. Don't think about it, it's all in the past. I shook my head and sighed softly. It's not in the past, I dream of drawing a line with Lin Qingya and divorcing her now. Xie Lingchao's hand was suspended in the air, and he was stunned for a long time before he came back to his senses. You haven't divorced yet. Do you need my help? Chapter 16 is bitterly cold. I frowned slightly, confusion written all over my face. Help? I'm getting a divorce. How can I help you with something like this? Xie Lingchao looked determined, and he sat up straight and looked at me. Of course I can help. She was unfaithful, and you should ask her to leave the house with nothing. Xiao Sen dared to ask someone to teach you a lesson, it's simply rebellious against Qian Gang. This kind of plot is hard to watch even for a casual passerby. What's more, it's Xie Lingchao. I know that she and Lin Qingya don't get along, but I'm not sure to what extent. This topic was too heavy, and I subconsciously looked up at the bottle that was almost empty. Xie Lingchao understood what he meant, and stood up and called the nurse. Wait for me. After saying that, she turned and left. I just treated it as a chance encounter and thought that I would not have much interaction with Xie Lingchao again. After several years of being a house husband, I have lost the confidence I once had. Watching Xie Lingchao's back as he left, I whispered, see you again if we're lucky. The nurse helped me change the last bottle and I would be able to leave in half an hour. Thanks to chatting with Xie Lingchao, I regained a lot of energy and spirit. When I took out my cell phone, I found that Lin Qingya had made more than a dozen missed calls. Before, I still had a glimmer of hope that she called me because she was worried about me and still cared about me. But now, I faced the reality. I sighed and finally decided to call back. What do you want from me? Lin Qingya's tone on the other end of the phone was icy, with a half smile in her voice. You're in the hospital, right? You're a grown man, but you still have to go to the hospital for such a minor injury. My face fell. The reason I came to the hospital was because the bloodstains on my arms were too deep and I had lost too much blood. But last time, Chen Jinan only had some scrapes on his skin, which healed on the way. Lin Qingya not only did not find it strange, but was extremely concerned, fearing that something might go wrong with him. With this comparison, my position in Lin Qingya's heart is in jeopardy. I controlled myself not to think too much and tried my best to suppress the anger in my heart. If you have nothing else to do, I will hang up first. I am still receiving the 4. Seeing that I didn't refute, Lin Qingya was a little surprised. Wait, I'll be there soon. Before I could stop him, there was already a burst of dead tone on the other end of the phone. I didn't want to see Lin Qingya. I could probably guess that her purpose in coming here was definitely not to care about me. But it's for Grandpa's birthday party next month. We have already finalized our divorce and we no longer have any emotional basis for each other, at least that's how she treats me. I leaned back in the chair tiredly and closed my eyes, hoping that time would pass quickly so that I could leave before Lin Qingya came. At this moment, I heard that soft voice again in my ears. This is iodine, for disinfection. You should know that, right? This one is for anti-inflammatory, this one is for scar removal, this one is. I slowly opened my eyes. I saw Xie Lingchao carrying a big bag of medicine, sitting on the chair next to me, rummaging through it and introducing them to me one by one. After saying that, she took out the light pink thermos and stuffed it into my hand. The doctor said that you are dizzy because you have lost too much blood. Drink more water. I stared blankly at the thermos she stuffed into my hand. A warm current flowed through my body in the blink of an eye. I felt strangely upset that I thought she had left. She raised her hand again and held the tube, with a smile on her face. Don't worry, I've already paid for you. I've asked the doctor about these medicines, so don't worry about taking them. Feeling that warmth again, I realized that it was freezing cold without the tube she was holding tightly. You? I was very confused. Why are you helping me so much? Chapter 17, Sincerely Helping You. After all, we are alumni, so it's no big deal to help out an old classmate. Lingqiao looked at me with bright eyes and answered. However, I don't know if it was my illusion, but I always felt that there was a flash of loss in her bright expression. What's wrong with you? You're pretending to be sick and pitiful again. Don't think that I will sympathize with you. Her voice full of sarcasm came in before Lin Qingya. When Lin Qingya came to the hospital, Lingqiao was chatting with me casually. Even though she was always well-mannered, she couldn't help but frown slightly when she heard Lin Qingya's words. I had no intention of involving her in the messy emotional entanglement between Lin Qingya and I, so after expressing my gratitude once again, I was about to politely ask her to leave. Unexpectedly, when Lin Qingya saw Lingqiao sitting next to me, she immediately lost her composure and started shouting. What are you doing here? To take care of the patients, of course. He's a grown man, what's there to take care of? Besides, are you two familiar with each other? Isn't it clear to Miss Lin whether we are familiar with each other? You have actually been secretly contacting each other behind my back for a long time. I was wondering why Shiyao suddenly decided to divorce me. Lin Qingya was obviously very angry with Lingqiao. The two of them had been at odds since college. When I was in school, I often heard Lin Qingya scold Lingqiao. 7 years later, when I saw them confronting each other again, I suddenly realized how ridiculous I was before. In fact, I knew in my heart at that time that Lin Qingya was just jealous of Lingqiao's talent and ability. Although we were both top students in the Department of Fine Arts, it was obvious that Lingqiao was superior to Lin Qingya in every aspect. At that time, out of my love for Lin Qingya, I always spoke on her side. But now, I don't want to side with Lin Qingya anymore, especially since she spread rumors about my relationship with Lingqiao. Others may not understand why I am so determined to get a divorce, but how could she not understand? Enough! I shouted angrily, interrupting Lin Qingya, who was talking nonsense. Why do we want to divorce? Shouldn't you and your male secretary Chen Jinan know best? Everyone can make up stories, and what I said is all true. The passers-by, who were all listening attentively around them, after hearing this double reversal, transferred their contempt for Lingqiao to Lin Qingya. I came to the hospital several times in a row, but you only came to see me each time? Chen Jinan just had a scratch on his hand, but you rushed to pick him up. You know, I was in the hospital at the time too. Why am I injured today? I told you before that it was Chen Jinan who paid someone to buy my life. If it weren't for me. Having said that, I am rarely able to breathe. The emotions contained in my chest are too complicated. Even after being calm for so long, I still cannot remain calm. Forget it. I won't bother to mention everything you did to me, but the relationship between me and Miss Xie is innocent. I won't tolerate your slander. Please apologize to Miss Xie. Obviously, she didn't expect me to side with Lingqiao. Lin Qingya's eyes were full of disbelief. You want me to apologize to her? Yes. Apologize. Chapter 18, Can you bear it? You're dreaming about asking me to apologize to a woman like this. Lin Qingya was obviously very angry. She didn't even say why she came to see me. She just shook her hair and stamped her stirrups and left. I smiled at Lingqiao apologetically. Lin Qingya has always been arrogant, and she comes and goes as she pleases in front of me. I'm sorry for causing you trouble. It's okay. Lin Qingya didn't like me when we were in college. You don't know that when I saw her like that, I was already displeased with her. Lingqiao waved her hand nonchalantly. It can be seen that she is actually open-minded and doesn't mind these little things. In this comparison, Lin Qingya, who had always targeted her, seemed very petty. As for you, I have a friend who is good at handling divorce cases. I will introduce him to you later. I quickly shook my head to decline Lingqiao's kindness. No need, Lin Qingya promised me that she will go with me to get a divorce certificate after her grandfather's birthday party. It just so happens that I also have to attend Grandpa Lin's birthday party. I've been used to being free these years, and I'm really not used to that kind of occasion with so much drinking and feasting. I'll have to trouble you to take care of me when the time comes. Lingqiao smiled very sincerely, and I was infected by his smile and couldn't help but nodded seriously. It was already 1 in the morning when the infusion ended. After many thanks, he sent Lingqiao to the car and watched her drive away from the hospital. It was as if I was meeting Lingqiao for the first time. When talking to her, she always knew when to stop and never said anything hurtful. This evening's conversation was the most comfortable and enjoyable one I have had in recent years. I had already lost too much blood and was exhausted, and after chatting with Xie Lingqiao today, the depression in my heart was finally relieved. I went home and fell into a deep sleep. The next day I was awakened by a sudden ringing of my cell phone. After the call was hung up twice in succession, I turned over and picked up my phone. Lin Qingya's name was clearly displayed on the screen. I guess he just remembered what he wanted to talk to me about last night, and he kept calling me one after another to urge me to answer. When Shiyao? How can you be so mean? Jinan has already said that he didn't do it, why do you still want to retaliate against him? As soon as the call was connected, Lin Qingya's cursing voice came out. I raised my phone and sneered. Chen Jinan was really full of tea fragrance. He was also very good at putting the blame on someone else. It would be a waste of talent if he didn't enter the entertainment industry with such good acting skills. Lin Qingya, I'll only say this once, I didn't do it. Perhaps because she heard the coldness in my voice, Lin Qingya on the other end of the phone paused. Boss Lin, forget it. Who would admit that they did something bad? Don't worry about it. It's okay for me to suffer a little. As long as you are fine, that's all. How can I just let it go like this? Since you're in this state, I must seek justice for you. Chen Jinan was still acting diligently on the other end of the phone. I was too lazy to listen anymore, so I simply hung up and turned off the phone. At first she said she wouldn't listen to one side of the story, but now the roles have been reversed and Lin Qingya doesn't even care about my defense. I was woken up by the noise. Since Chen Jinan kept saying that I wanted to take revenge on him, if I didn't do something, I would be letting him down for the good show he put on today. I entered the study and turned on the computer, and I hacked directly into Chen Jinan's computer. High-end revenge is never bloodless. Things that involve bloodshed are too easy. His fingers flew across the keyboard, and soon a virus was implanted in his computer. Whenever he turned on the computer and opened a folder, he could witness the files being automatically deleted and shredded in front of his eyes. In order to take care of Lin Qingya, I haven't worked much these years, but this doesn't mean that I, who was the top student in computer science back then, am a loser. Chapter 19. This city is so small. I hadn't been sitting in front of the computer for long when the virus I had planted in Chen Jinan's computer actually started running. As I watched the folders gradually disappear in his computer, I laughed coldly in front of the screen. I didn't expect that he would run the files so quickly, far exceeding my estimated time. At this moment, there was a rhythmic knock on the door. The last time I rashly opened the door is still vivid in my mind. If I hadn't been exercising diligently since childhood, and hadn't learned Sonder fighting specifically to protect Lin Qingya all those years ago, I would have been the one who suffered. So this time I went straight to the cloakroom, picked up my trekking pole, and shouted as I walked, "Who is it?" "Hello, I'm the new neighbor next door." Hearing a familiar female voice coming from the door, I opened the door in confusion, and standing outside was Xie Lingqiao, who looked energetic. "Why are you here?" Xie Lingqiao obviously didn't expect that her new neighbor would be me. I put the trekking pole in my hand aside without leaving any trace, and invited her into their house with a smile. Xie Lingqiao was holding a plate of small cakes in his hands. It seemed that he had prepared some to establish friendly neighborly relations after moving to a new home. I was thinking about bribing the neighbors. After all, there are only 2 of us on this floor, and it's inevitable that we'll bother the neighbors. Xie Lingqiao was not polite and walked towards the kitchen with the small cake in his hand, talking as he walked. "But I feel relieved to see it's you. You were famous for your warm-heartedness in school. Where's the knife and fork?" I followed Xie Lingqiao into the kitchen and took out the knife and fork for her. Xie Lingqiao was talking but his hands were moving in an orderly manner. He cut the cakes and arranged them on the plate while pushing me to sit on a high chair beside the island. "Try my cooking." I followed her lead and tasted a piece of the cake. It was sweet but not greasy. I didn't expect that Miss Xie, who looked like she had never done any housework, had such great baking skills. "Mr. Wen, do you know that there is an old saying in China, 'You are the one who eats the food you eat, and you are grateful to him'?" Seeing me savoring the cake bite by bite carefully, Xie Lingqiao smiled slyly, looking like a real little fox. "Oh? So? Har har har, Mr. Wen, you don't have to be so alert. It's just that my computer has a small problem, so I'm going to bother the computer department's top student by the way. It was the first time I saw Lin Qingya act like a little girl. After all, we didn't meet much before. Every time we met, she always had a cold and noble face. In private, she turned out to be such a lively and interesting person. Ms. Xie, I need to remind you that I study computer science, not repair computers. I couldn't help but want to tease her, and said seriously. When Lin Qingya heard this, a hint of unnaturalness flashed across his face. I quickly continued, but I am quite versatile and I can also repair computers. Lin Qingya was amused by me and burst out laughing. There was nothing serious wrong with Lin Qingya's computer, it was just that the normal system crashed. I reinstalled the latest version of the system for her and also installed the software she used daily. After all the operations, the sky near the window was actually dyed with sunset glow. When I turned around, I saw Lin Qingya working by the door. The slightly dim light outlined her exquisite curves. I swallowed silently. Chapter 20 Don't regret when Shiyao. The computer has been repaired, you can try to operate it. I looked away and said calmly. Lin Qingya stood beside me, slightly bent over and controlled the mouse to click on the desktop. His soft hair brushed against my arm, giving me a numb feeling. It's really all done, you're awesome. Lin Qingya patted my shoulder in surprise and moved closer to me. I quickly stood up and made way for him, try to use the commonly used software again. I'm going to go back first. Don't move. Your wound is bleeding again. I can see you haven't changed the medicine at all. Lin Qingya acted quickly and changed the medicine for me quickly. However, she did not let me leave and directly pulled me to the dining table. Only then did I realize that while I was installing the system for her, she had already prepared 5 dishes and a soup. I have been living in a daze every day during this period, but today, I was tempted by the delicious food on the table and ate 3 bowls of rice for the first time ever. When I was about to continue serving rice, Lin Qingya pressed my hand. You haven't been eating well recently, don't eat too much at once, your stomach can't bear it. I nodded shyly, with some moisture in my eyes. It had been a long time since anyone cared whether I was in pain or uncomfortable. It was dark after dinner. I stood at the door of Lin Qingya's house and said goodbye to her. Thinking of the people Chen Jinan had brought to my house to cause trouble a few days ago, I specifically told her not to open the door to strangers easily and to call me as soon as anything happened. As luck would have it, the elevator stopped at our floor with a ding. Lin Qingya walked out of the elevator angrily. As soon as she saw Lin Qingya, the anger on her face increased. Great, so you guys have been living together for a long time. Lin Qingya, open your eyes and look, this is Lin Qiao's house. Seeing Lin Qingya's calculating eyes, I became more and more tired. I didn't expect that at this time, she would still have the nerve to turn the tables and make it seem like I was the one who wronged her first. So what if it's her house? Who knows what shameful things you two did in there? Lin Qingya, I'm different from you. I have moral principles. I will never do anything to let my partner down during my marriage. Perhaps because she had never seen me speak so harshly to her before, Lin Qingya was distracted for a moment. After all, in the 7 years I've been with her, I've almost always obeyed her and never spoken loudly to her. I think it's because I've been too gentle to her over the years that she forgot that I'm a proud and cold person at heart. Only when facing her, I remove all the sharp thorns on my body and accompany her wholeheartedly. No wonder you're so anxious to divorce me. It seems like I'm getting in the way of your good fortune. I didn't expect that Lin Qingya was still confusing right and wrong at this time, so I stood directly in front of Lin Qingya and blocked the finger that Lin Qingya was pointing at her. Perhaps my defense hurt Lin Qingya, and she immediately said, "Let's divorce. I can live well no matter who I divorce. No need to wait until Grandpa's birthday party, I'll divorce tomorrow." After saying that, he turned around and left without waiting for me to speak. I'm sorry, Sorry. Not long after Lin Qingya left, Lin Qingya and I spoke at the same time. Unexpectedly, the first sentences we said were both apologies. We smiled at each other, and the unpleasant atmosphere disappeared instantly. After a moment, Lin Qingya said hesitantly, "What are your plans after the divorce?" "Actually, I have a friend who happens to run a game company. If you are interested." Chapter 21 Clothes make the man, saddles make the horse. I know Lin Qingya is worried about my livelihood. After all, my external image over the years has always been that of a good wife to Lin Qingya. But I still waved my hand to reject her kindness. Now that I am free from all constraints, of course I want to develop my career well. Xie was stunned for a moment and stopped trying to persuade him. The next day, I got up early, tidied myself up briefly and went out. The Qingya studio that I opened has been operating normally, but before I had always been communicating with my assistant online. Today I am finally going to go online in person. Special Assistant Zhang had been waiting in the office since early morning, and when he saw me he was quite excited, as if he had met a netizen in person. In the next few days, I almost stayed in the studio and went through several key projects that were being run from beginning to end. Of course, my subordinates were secretly watching me. After all, I was busy with my family in the past few years and they had never seen me in person, so they all thought I was a bald, ugly old man. I was having a meeting with key members of the studio that day when the phone suddenly started buzzing. I glanced and saw that it was Lin Qingya calling. I thought she was finally ready and wanted me to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. When Shiyao, do you know you are wrong? If you apologize to me now, I can pretend that nothing happened. I rubbed my forehead helplessly. How could Lin Qingya still be so conceited at this time? Lin Qingya, if you have time someday, let's meet at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Do you think I don't want to divorce? I'll leave as soon as Grandpa's birthday party is over. I couldn't help but sneer as I listened to Lin Qingya's hypocritical words. It seemed that she was still very afraid of old Master Lin. If you want me to attend Grandpa Lin's birthday banquet, I have one condition. You have to come and pick me up in person to attend the banquet. In the past, I volunteered to serve her, but she didn't want it. Now I'm not so easy to control. You wait. On the day of the birthday party, I was waiting at home early, but Lin Qingya's phone was always on the line. It was not until the banquet was about to begin that Lin Qingya sent me a message saying that she was too busy to pick me up and asked me to take a taxi to the banquet hall by myself. I held the phone and laughed at myself. I was abandoned again and again. What on earth was I still looking forward to? I thought I could part ways amicably with Lin Qingya, but I didn't expect that she would stand me up on our last formal meeting. There was a knock on the door at this time. I thought Lin Qingya had figured it out again, so I hurried over and opened the door. Unexpectedly, the person standing outside the door was Xie. Her curvy figure was wrapped in a haute couture dress. At this moment, she was so beautiful that she looked like the goddess Venus reappeared. Xie raised her eyebrows and looked at me, who was still in her home clothes, and motioned me to look behind her. Last time, the brand sent me a few men's suits. If you don't mind, pick one that fits you and try it on. Originally, Lin Qingya said she would bring me a dress, so I didn't prepare anything. I didn't expect that she would stand me up today. For a while, I was worrying about where to get the dress. You've been a great help to me. I pushed the dress rack into the room and picked out a navy blue dress with low-key and luxurious craftsmanship to put on. Unexpectedly, the dress fit me perfectly. It just so happened that Xie was also going to the birthday party, so I simply took her car and went along. As soon as Xie car stopped in front of the old house, the car following behind it also slowly stopped. I took a quick look and it was Lin Qingya's car. The woman who just said she was busy got out of the car with Chen Jinan, chatting and laughing. Chapter 22. If I don't live well, no one else will live well. I got out of the car and walked straight forward. Only then did I notice that the dresses Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan were wearing were designed to complement each other. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell that these were so-called couples' dresses. Since Lin Qingya is so shameless, I certainly won't let her off easily. At the entrance of the old house, where people were coming and going, I pointed at Chen Jinan and asked Lin Qingya, "You came to Grandpa's birthday party with your mistress in matching outfits, how dare you still hold me back and refuse to divorce?" Lin Qingya was also a person who cared about her reputation, and this was the birthday party of Mr. Lin, who had the final say, so she didn't dare to act like a troublemaker. "Don't slander me. This was all an accident. I had an accident on the way here, so I had to change into a dress temporarily. There is nothing wrong between Jinan and me. Miss Lin's so-called innocence means leaving her husband alone and appearing with other wild men." My voice was quite loud. Those attending the banquet were all important local figures, and Lin Qingya had been keeping Chen Jinan by her side for a long time, so everyone started pointing at Chen Jinan and whispering to each other. I sneered in my heart. If I don't live well, no one will live well. Then how do you explain getting out of her car? Xiao parked the car and walked over. When Lin Qingya saw her, she immediately reversed public opinion. Qingya, not only did you bring a wild man to attend Grandpa's birthday party, you even slandered Ling Chao and me. If she hadn't seen me walking along their way and came over to give me a ride, I don't know when I would have been able to make it to Grandpa's birthday party. It's just green tea. After watching Chen Jinan play so many roles, I have to learn something from her. The whispering among the crowd intensified, and Lin Qingya's expression became even worse. In the end, she had no choice but to point at Xie Lingchao's dress and talk about it. You two were wearing couple's clothes, and you're blaming each other in front of everyone. I looked at Xie Lingchao, who was wearing a pure white dress. If I had to say that my dress was related to hers, it would probably be the waves embroidered with blue silk thread on the hem of her fishtail skirt. How can you say that? Regardless of the fact that there is no connection between me and Miss Xie's dress, even if there is a connection, it must be just an accident. I deliberately emphasized the word accident just to slap Lin Qingya in the face. Hurry up and change it for me. Tonight is our Lin family's home game. I don't want some random person to steal the limelight. Lin Qingya was defeated and had to bluff in the end. I didn't want to spoil her, so I pretended I didn't hear what she said. Just as I was about to go in, I heard a familiar sound of a cane. Why are you standing at the door and not going in? Old Master Lin's powerful voice came from inside the door. Lin Qingya's attitude immediately changed. She took my arm and greeted me in a soft voice. Grandpa, Shiyao and I are here to celebrate your birthday. Chapter 23. There must be a misunderstanding. The news that Lin Qingya and I were getting a divorce had not spread out yet, and Mr. Lin had always been worried that Lin Qingya and I wouldn't get along well. This time, when he saw us together, he was obviously happy. Shiyao, what have you been busy with lately? I, an old man, have been having trouble finding a match for you lately. A group of people surrounded the old man and walked towards the old house. He called my name and asked me to stay with him and talk. I know that this is the old man's way of supporting me. During the years I have been married to Lin Qingya, her parents have never been optimistic about me. If it weren't for old man Lin, they might have asked Lin Qingya to divorce me long ago. A group of people entered the house. Mr. Lin sat down in the main seat, and Xie Lingchao's birthday gift had been delivered to the door. Grandpa Lin, my birthday gift has arrived, so I'll take it first without hesitation. The person who escorted the dragon fish walked in slowly, accompanied by the butler and bodyguards. Everyone's eyes were attracted by the bright red light in his hand. The blood-red arowana is the most valuable species of arowana and has always been priceless. Moreover, arowana of such good quality is hard to come by. The girl from the Xie family is very thoughtful. The old man sitting on the main seat was very satisfied with Xie Lingchao's birthday gift and praised it repeatedly. Seeing that Xie Lingchao had taken the lead, Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan were not to be outdone and followed suit by presenting the birthday gifts they had prepared. The diamond-studded cigar box was dazzling, and when the lid was opened, the neatly arranged royal cigars were inlaid with diamonds and precious metals. This gift came from Lin Qingya. The entire bottle is plated with 24K gold and platinum, and half of the bottle is inlaid with more than 6,000 diamonds. This is Henry IV Grand Champagne Cognac, known as the most expensive luxury wine in the world. This gift comes from Chen Jinan. There were so many guests that Mr. Lin's face changed slightly, but he did not lose his temper on the spot. He just nodded slightly to signal the butler to accept the birthday gifts from the two. I couldn't help but sneer in my heart. In the past, I prepared the birthday gifts for Mr. Lin myself, so naturally I could please him. Now that I am gone, Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan, these two good-for-nothings, are really brainless. They don't even know that Grandpa Lin's health is getting worse and that he had to quit smoking and drinking under the doctor's compulsory control at the beginning of the year. Watching the housekeeper put away the birthday gifts, Chen Jinan was still a little complacent, and then turned around and started to attack me. The gifts we gave are all very valuable. I wonder what gift Mr. Wen, a house husband, prepared for Grandpa Lin. I glanced at him with amusement and really didn't want to take him seriously. Since it's for Grandpa's birthday, of course I prepared his favorite things. The wooden box is simple and elegant. One side of the box is hollowed out with a birthday picture, and one corner is engraved with Mr. Lin's small words. I spent a lot of effort to carve this gift box by hand, and even flew to Nanchang several times to learn carving skills from famous teachers. When the gift box was opened, the unique copy of the ancient chess manual that was supposed to be presented to everyone had turned into a small black wooden coffin with Grandpa Lin's name engraved on it. There was an uproar in the room, and the old man was also furious. He raised his cane and overturned the wooden box in my hand. "When Shiyao, what are you thinking? You actually gave such an unlucky thing at Grandpa's birthday party." Chen Jinan was very disdainful of my disrespectful behavior towards elders. "Chen Jinan, stop slandering me. A Yao is not that kind of person at all. There must be a misunderstanding here." Xie Lingqiao stepped forward and stood in front of me, his words full of protection. I glanced at the smug Chen Jinan and started to think about something. Chapter 24. Our family has treated you wrongly. I was busy talking to the old man just now, and the birthday gift was given to the servant for safekeeping. I think it was replaced by Chen Jinan at that time. "Grandpa, you know me well. I would never wish you bad things. To tell you the truth, the birthday gift I prepared for you early in the morning was a rare copy of an ancient chess manual. I personally checked before leaving this morning. The wooden box I had was indeed filled with chess manuals. But when I arrived at the old house, the box suddenly turned into something that cursed Grandpa. It seems that we should thoroughly investigate the people inside our Lin family's old house. Please ask Grandpa to ask the housekeeper to bring the laptop from the study on the second floor." After listening to my advice, the old man's anger subsided a little. In fact, if you think about it carefully, you will know that I was framed. How could I be stupid enough to do such a thing in public? The old man waved his hand to signal the housekeeper to get the computer. I looked at Chen Jinan, who was confident in what he had done, and took the opportunity to say to everyone in a loud voice, "In order to prove my innocence, I would like to ask all the elders present to bear witness for me. If the instigator behind this is found, he must not be let off easily." Chen Jinan didn't know that because of the security issues of the old house, I designed a strict security system specifically for the old house. Except for the 3 rooms in the inner courtyard where the old man lives, all areas of the old house are equipped with overt or covert surveillance. After getting the notebook, I pulled up the surveillance footage in the old house in front of everyone. After switching between multiple perspectives, Chen Jinan's sneaky figure was finally seen in an inconspicuous corner. To my surprise, Lin Qingya followed Chen Jinan, and the two of them discussed and replaced the chess record I had prepared. "Lin Qingya, not only is there something unclear between you and Chen Jinan, but you even framed Shiyao at Grandpa Lin's birthday party." The evidence was clear, and Xie Lingqiao immediately stood up to denounce Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan on my behalf. Not feeling that it was not enough, she went straight to the old man and exposed him. "Grandpa Lin Qingya has been hooking up with Chen Jinan for a long time. I have seen them being intimate in public several times. You too." The old man's eyes were wide open and he was about to teach Lin Qingya a lesson, but he couldn't catch his breath and fainted on the ground with his crutches. Lin Qingya's face had been turning red and white for a long time. She was about to open her mouth to explain, but unexpectedly the old man fainted from anger. I quickly stepped forward to support the old man. I didn't have time to pay attention to Lin Qingya. I carried the old man on my back and asked the housekeeper to arrange a car. It was late at night, but the lights were on in the hospital, and the old man finally woke up. Fortunately, the old man has paid attention to taking care of his health in recent years. He fainted today just because he was angry and there is nothing wrong with his body. "Yaya, I thought you were just unstable and a bit playful, but I didn't expect you to treat Shiyao like this." "Shiyao, Grandpa knows that you are a good child, it is Yaya who is not doing well." The old man's eyes were full of disappointment. "I have always known that he favors me, but my marriage with Lin Qingya has come to this point and there is no turning back. Grandpa, I'm sorry, even if Qingya and I are divorced, I'm still your grandson. I have already made up my mind to divorce, and I will never waver." I can only tactfully express to the old man my firm determination to divorce. "It's our family that has treated you unfairly." The old man shook his head helplessly. What I didn't know was that after I left the hospital, the old man used the family property as bait and asked Lin Qingya to save our marriage. Of course, Lin Qingya admitted all this later in order to irritate me. Chapter 25. I can't fire him. As soon as I got home, Xie Lingqiao hurriedly followed me. "How is Grandpa Lin?" "It's okay. The doctor said I can go home after a few days of rest in the hospital." "I'm sorry. Today I was only focused on exposing Lin Qingya's hypocritical mask. It was not my intention to make Grandpa Lin angry. I didn't expect. Xie Ling was so anxious that he was incoherent and his eyes were red. Unable to bear watching her blame herself like this, I patted her shoulder and comforted her. Grandpa will know these things sooner or later. Today, I should thank you for protecting me in front of so many people. I didn't do anything, and I believe you are not that kind of person. Xie Ling's unconditional trust in me makes my heart warm. Ever since I married Lin Qingya, everyone around me has been flattering me as a househusband and looking down on me. Whenever something goes wrong, they always blame me first. It has been a long time since someone has stood by me so unconditionally. Thank you. This thank you is not mixed with any emotions, it is a sincere expression of gratitude from the heart. After seeing off Xie Lingqiao, who had calmed down, I quickly washed up and went to the study. He re-entered the security system of the Lin family's old house and copied the video of Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan's actions today for archiving. In addition, I took the opportunity to check the surveillance playback of the house where I used to live with Lin Qingya. I didn't expect to find so many surprises at first glance. Lin Qingya didn't know that I had installed a lot of hidden cameras for the safety of her and the child. She and Chen Jinan were openly performing an 18+ act in that house. The phone kept buzzing at this time. It was Lin Qingya calling again. Frowning, she answered the phone. Lin Qingya on the other end of the line was still arrogant. When Shiyao, let's talk. Looking at what was still happening on the video screen, I said in a cold voice, there is nothing to discuss between you and me except divorce. When Shiyao, you've grown wings. How dare you talk to me like that? My tenderness only belongs to the one I love, and you don't deserve it. When Shiyao, don't regret it. I'm telling you, I've changed my mind. I will never divorce you. I don't know what Lin Qingya is up to, but I'm not someone who is easy to get along with. Okay, if you don't want a divorce, you can fire Chen Jinan and cut off all ties with him. Don't contact him again. Just because of Chen Jinan's green tea spirit, he will definitely not agree to separate from Lin Qingya. What's more, Lin Qingya is now bewitched by him, so how could she give in easily? Don't talk nonsense. There is nothing between Jinan and me. He is just a qualified secretary. I can't fire him. I was almost laughing at Lin Qingya's words. Even at this time, she was still pretending. I simply laid it on the table, a qualified secretary. A qualified secretary who climbs into the boss bed at his home. When Shiyao, you are spying on me. Lin Qingya was furious on the other end of the phone. I sneered and didn't want to waste any more words with her, so I just hung up the phone. This time, Lin Qingya was surprisingly patient and kept calling me relentlessly. She kept fighting even after I died several times. Thinking of making an appointment to get a divorce certificate, I answered the phone again. Unexpectedly, a soft and cute girl's voice came from the phone. Dad, where are you? When I think of my daughter's big, twinkling eyes, my heart aches. I haven't seen her for a long time, and I don't know if she has grown taller or bigger. Chapter 26. It's all in vain. Baby, Dad lives outside now. He will come to see you when he is free. I softened my voice and said to Wen Lishuan. Dad, didn't you promise to take me to the playground with Mom last time? I waited for a long time at my grandma and grandpa's house, but you didn't come. The aggrieved voice of the little girl came out of the receiver, and my heart almost melted. Dad will definitely do what he promised you. Ask Mom when she has time, and we will go to the amusement park with you. After hearing what I said, Li Shen turned around and asked Lin Qingya beside her. Mom will be free tomorrow. Lin Qingya's response came from the other end of the phone. Facing the child, I couldn't be cold anymore, so I still used a soft voice to comfort the child. Then Dad will pick you up tomorrow morning, and our family will go to the amusement park happily. Great. Wen Lishuan's cheers rang in my ears, and I couldn't help but curl the corners of my mouth. The next day, I got up very early and was about to go out when there was a knock on the door. Xie Lingqiao was standing at the door with a plate of soup dumplings in his hands and a smile on his face. When she opened the door and saw me fully dressed, she asked in confusion, "Are you ready to go out so early?" Thinking of my daughter's chubby and cute appearance, I couldn't help but smile. My daughter wants to see me, so her mother and I will take her to the amusement park today. Is that so? Xie Lingqiao's mood dropped visibly. However, my attention was on the plate of soup dumplings in her hand and I didn't notice it at that time. Did you make your own soup dumplings? Yes, try it. Xie Lingqiao put the soup dumplings on the table in an orderly manner, turned around and left without staying for long. I was in a hurry to go out, so I finished the soup dumplings in a few bites, grabbed the car keys and left. When I arrived at Lin's parents' home, the two old people saw that the new car I was driving was very ordinary and they did not hide their contempt at all. In fact, I know it without them saying it. They must think that I am useless without their daughter, and even the car I drive is of low quality. Not wanting to involve my daughter in the dispute between adults, I pretended not to see it and just picked her up. "Excuse me, our lovely little Princess Lishuan, are we ready to set off?" My daughter giggled in my arms, so soft and cute. Lin Qingya followed and was about to open the car door when her cell phone rang at an inopportune time. My eyebrows jumped. According to past practice, when Lin Qingya wanted to be alone with me, if her cell phone rang, it was definitely something bad. Sure enough, after hearing what was said on the other end of the phone, Lin Qingya's expression immediately became anxious. "Don't be afraid, I'll be there soon." As he said that, he was about to turn around and drive back to Lin's house. "Mom, where are you going?" Seeing Lin Qingya was about to leave, Xian in her arms quickly reached out for Lin Qingya to hold her. "Xian, be good and ask your dad to take you to the amusement park. Uncle Lin broke his leg and Mom has to go to their hospital to see him now." As expected, Chen Jinan had done something weird again. I don't know how serious his so-called injured leg was. I'm afraid the wound would heal before he even got to their hospital. "Uncle Lin is injured. Mom, I want to go with you to see Uncle Lin." It seems that Chen Jinan means a lot to Xian. Just hearing the news that Chen Jinan was injured, the little guy's big eyes were already filled with tears. I suddenly felt deeply frustrated. Not only did my wife care about the mistress, but even my own daughter was disloyal to me. Over the years, I have been helpless about the control that Mr. and Mrs. Lin have over Xian, but when I think that this is all for her future, I just endure it. I didn't expect that in the end, it was all in vain. Chapter 27. It's a pity not to act. After watching Lin Qingya and her daughter leave, I drove home alone, feeling disheartened. "Weren't you going to the amusement park? Why are you back?" Chen Jinan broke his leg, and Lin Qingya went to see him. I happened to meet Xie Lingqiao, who had just finished shopping in the basement. She hurried over to my side, carrying a lot of bags. I took the shopping bags from her and walked towards the elevator. "So you're unhappy?" Xie Lingqiao's question was a bit puzzling, but I was obviously not sad because of Lin Qingya, so I quickly shook my head to deny it. My daughter was actually bribed by Chen Jinan. She even refused to go to the amusement park and insisted on going with her mother to see Chen Jinan. Don't be too sad. The child is still young and doesn't know how to distinguish right from wrong. She will be friends with whoever plays with her. This time it was Xie Lingqiao's turn to pat my shoulder and comfort me. "You're in for a treat today. Look at what I bought today. I've got a whole table of delicious food for you to try." Xie Lingqiao wanted to make me happy, and I didn't want to refuse her kindness, so she pushed me into her house. While chatting with Xie Lingqiao and busying myself in the kitchen, I suddenly felt that life was peaceful and tranquil. Isn't this what I've always longed for? One house, two people, 3 meals, for seasons. It's just that Lin Qingya was always busy with her career before, so I would always prepare meals and wait for her by the table. In the past 2 years, I often waited until the food was cold before she came home. I just thought she had too many social engagements, and I always felt sorry for her because she was so tired. She never expected that during those days when she was not home, she was with Chen Jinan. Xie Lingqiao is a very considerate woman. Knowing that I was in a bad mood today, she tried to comfort me with sweet words all day long. After the meal, the depression in my heart did dissipate a lot. Lin Qingya called at this time. I was washing dishes and was too lazy to take off my gloves. Anyway, Xie Lingqiao knew everything about my troubles. I simply asked Xie Lingqiao to help me connect the phone and turn on the speaker. Lin Qingya left me alone in the morning. Now she has come to her senses and came to apologize to me. It's a shame that Miss Lin doesn't want to act. The entertainment industry has lost a queen with superb acting skills. Xie Lingqiao. Why are you next to Shiyao? What do you think? You are allowed to have Chen Jinan by your side, but Shiyao is not allowed to have me by his side. I didn't want to waste time arguing with Lin Qingya, so I planned to hang up when I heard that it was nothing important. However, Xie Lingqiao, who had also overheard the conversation, started to retort. I looked at her with amusement. Xie was really good at making Lin Qingya speechless. In fact, I already had some guesses in my mind from Lin Qingya's sudden change in attitude in the past 2 days. Maybe Mr. Lin said something to her, which is why someone as spoiled as her would occasionally be so servile in front of me. Xie, you. Lin Qingya, when are you free? It would be best if we can make sure your good secretary won't get hurt again. Let's take our daughter to the amusement park again. Without giving Lin Qingya a chance to say anything more, I signaled Xie to hang up the phone. I no longer had any expectations for this marriage, so I could remain calm no matter what Lin Qingya did. Not long after, I suddenly received a series of messages. After washing the dishes, I opened it and saw that it was sent by Chen Jinan. One photo after another was loaded. Chapter 28 Daddy Won't Give Up on You. In the photo, Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan are eating in a restaurant with their daughter. The three of them are crowded in front of the screen, smiling happily, as if they are a family of 3. The next few pictures are loaded one after another. There are 3 people shopping together, and 3 people playing together in front of a claw machine. It is not difficult to see from the photos that Chen Jinan did not break his leg at all. He just wanted to snatch Lin Qingya away from me on purpose. He even wants to take possession of my daughter. The veins on my hand holding the phone were bulging from excessive force, and it was not until Xiaolingchao's soft, boneless hand covered mine that I suddenly realized my mistake. Don't ruin yourself for the sake of irrelevant people's popularity. The dishes are done. I'm going home now. I fled back to my home in a panic. I found the divorce agreement drafted by the lawyer, signed it electronically and sent it directly to Lin Qingya. When Shiyao, what's wrong with you? I've already apologized to you, what else do you want? Lin Qingya called right after. I laughed at myself. It seemed that my image as a cowardly househusband had really taken root in Lin Qingya's heart over the years. She would yell at me if there was anything she was not happy with. I don't want anything, I just want to divorce you. Divorce? You're dreaming. I will never agree to a divorce. If you don't agree, I will have no choice but to take legal action and file a lawsuit directly. Wen Shiyao, I'm giving you too much face, aren't I? If you file for divorce, aren't you afraid that you won't get anything? Hearing this, the coldness in my eyes became even stronger. I have given so much to this family, but in Lin Qingya's eyes, I am actually relying on her to survive. Perhaps after watching these videos, you will change your mind. You don't want the scandal of the president of Lin's enterprise cheating to be the headline of society one day, right? I captured a few videos of her and Chen Jinan doing whatever they wanted at home and sent them to them. The evidence I have collected during this period is almost enough. If I really file for divorce, Lin Qingya will not get any benefit at all. Although I was confident of victory, a deep feeling of powerlessness still invaded my every limb and made me feel cold. Seeing that she really couldn't get any benefit from me, I heard my daughter crying on the other end of the phone. Dad, don't you want me and Mom anymore? Please don't separate, okay? My daughter is my weak spot. I have always believed that no matter what Lin Qingya did wrong, the child is innocent. Dad, did you use would do something wrong? Please don't be angry, okay? Good boy, you are the best kid in the world. Daddy will never abandon you. Really? Really, Daddy promises. After receiving repeated assurances, my daughter stopped crying and promised to make a pinky promise with me the next time we meet. My daughter's tears had such a huge impact on me that it seems that the divorce issue will have to be put on hold for now. In the next few days, Lin Qingya got a lot of things, and even Chen Jinan didn't dare to offend me. Although the evidence I hold in my hand cannot bring disgrace upon them, it will certainly damage the reputation of Lin's enterprise and even affect the stock price of Lin's enterprise. I was concentrating on the development of the new game in the studio, and I resumed my daily routine of going between the studio and home. My studio has been committed to creating fighting and shooting games for men, and has gained a large number of loyal male players, but the period of rapid development has passed. Now that I have returned to my work wholeheartedly, in addition to retaining old players, I naturally want to open up new player markets. Combined with the data provided by the Market Evaluation Department, the proportion of female players has been increasing rapidly in recent years, so my studio naturally wants to get a piece of the pie. So the planning team worked hard for several months and developed a love-building game specifically for female players, which became our key annual project that we plan to promote this year. Chapter 29 Visiting the Studio. The first drafts of the characters submitted by the design department were rejected one after another, and everyone was very upset. Boss, this game is targeted at female users, so character design is very important. Yeah, we're all a bunch of rough guys. Our impression of the opposite sex is that they have big breasts, thin waists, and long legs, but that's not what women want to see. I nodded to show my understanding. It seems that the internal design will not work. You will have to look outside. Before the meeting was over, Special Assistant Zhang was peeking outside the door. When I nodded, Special Assistant Zhang pushed the door open and leaned over to whisper in my ear, "Boss, the front desk said that a woman claiming to be your wife is coming in." My wife? Could it be Lin Qingya? Signaling my subordinates to continue the meeting, I took Assistant Zhang to the front desk. Lin Qingya, dressed in a smart business suit, stood at the front desk. She was wearing all high-end brands and was quite out of place in my small studio. "Why are you here? I heard you opened a studio." "I came to take a look. Would you like to take me on a tour?" I don't know what Lin Qingya is up to today, but my current business has nothing to do with Lin S, so I took her on a tour as she wished. Before, because I didn't run the studio myself, and I didn't think it was necessary to trap everyone in the office, I didn't arrange too many workstations in the studio. It seems that now, not only are there only a few people in the entire studio, but everyone looks dead silent, as if the studio will go bankrupt tomorrow. After entering my private office, Lin Qingya couldn't help but sneered, "I thought you were so capable, but this is just a shabby studio. A department of Lin's is more spectacular than this." I nodded obediently. My small temple is indeed not as good as the big Budo of Lin's. Anyway, Lin Qingya's family has always thought that I have no ability, so why should I fight for unnecessary loyalty in front of her? Let her say whatever she wants. "I heard that your studio is planning to make a game for females and are looking for an artist." Lin Qingya changed the subject. It seemed that this was the real reason why she came to see me today. Seeing me nod, she flashed a smug look in her eyes. "As long as you promise not to divorce, I can help you draw these characters." Although the thought did flash through my mind during the meeting, after living together for so many years, I am very clear that Lin Qingya's style is suitable for our group of characters. But it was impossible for me to risk my marriage. "No need for that. Your current level is totally inadequate to our requirements for the role. Don't be shameless. I'm willing to condescend to create characters for you because of our relationship as husband and wife. With the level of your small workshop, can you hire a more famous artist than me? That's all for you to worry about." Not wanting to waste any more time talking to Lin Qingya, I simply asked her to leave the company. Chen Jinan, who was waiting outside, so that Lin Qingya didn't get any benefits from me, so he came up to me and said contemptuously, "I thought it was a big project. Is a crappy game worth spending so much time on? Mr. Wen, let me kindly remind you that the gaming industry is not that easy to enter. Then please wait and see." After saying this, I turned around and went back to the company. In the past few years, I have done a good job on the surface. They still don't know how much influence my shabby studio has in the industry. In the following period of time, the studio was committed to inviting various painters to submit trial drafts. But to my surprise, all these invitations fell on deaf ears, and even the few that I had finally negotiated were declined with excuses after I rented the house. Chapter 30 Art Exhibition. A few days later, Lin Qingya suddenly sent a series of messages. I looked at them one by one, and they were the character design sketches she drew. I have to say that Lin Qingya's attainments in painting are indeed very high. These pictures are obviously very close to our game protagonist. While looking at the sketch, I was walking towards home, when suddenly I was blocked by a resistance. When I looked down, I saw Xie Lingqiao standing in front of me, smiling happily at me. "You are such a busy man, I finally caught you today." "Sorry, the studio is planning a key project recently, so I'm a bit busy." "I know you're a busy man. If I hadn't run into you today, I would have gone to your studio to arrest you." Xie Lingqiao said this as he took out an invitation letter from his bag and handed it to me. "I wonder if you, a busy man, would be willing to take a moment this weekend to visit my solo exhibition." It seemed as if tiny bits of light fell into Xie Lingqiao's eyes, making her cunning little expression at the moment shine brightly. "If you're busy, it's fine. It's just a small-scale solo exhibition. It's okay." Xie Lingqiao interpreted my momentary absence of consciousness as hesitation. Seeing her face instantly filled with disappointment, I quickly shook my head. How can you be busy? I have to attend your solo exhibition. I got up early on Sunday and fiddled in the cloakroom for a long time before going out. I had asked the florist to deliver the celebratory flower basket early in the morning, but I still drove around to the shop and bought a bunch of sunflowers to take with me. It was only when I arrived at the venue that I was impressed by Xiaolingqiao's composure. An art exhibition of this scale is one of the best in the whole city of Z, but she did not show off because of it. Xiaolingqiao was busy giving media interviews, so I didn't disturb her and went straight into the inner hall to watch. I also have my own selfish reasons for coming to the exhibition today. The image design of the game's protagonist has been tormenting everyone in the studio during this period, including me. Come and see the art exhibition, maybe it can bring me some inspiration. As I watched, I found that Xiaolingqiao's paintings have a distinctive style, bold use of colors, and are very personal, but I always feel an indescribable sense of familiarity. Not far ahead, Xiaolingqiao had finished the media interview and was interacting with fans with a smile. She was graceful in front of the camera and answered fans' questions patiently. I walked over with a smile, and while the fans were giving her gifts, I gave her the sunflower I was holding. Seeing her chatting enthusiastically with her fans, I took the opportunity to ask her a question. Ms. Xia's works use very bold colors, and many of the collisions of colors are something I have never seen before. What is your creative concept? Xiaolingqiao gave me a coquettish look, and answered seriously under the expectant gaze of fans. My creative inspiration comes from my observation of life. I like to look at the world from different perspectives, such as this painting. Listening to Xiaolingqiao's insights on creation, a light bulb went off in my head, and I suddenly remembered where that inexplicable sense of familiarity came from. I have seen almost every one of Lin Qingya's works. Many of her early works are very similar to the style of Xiaolingqiao. I have been curious about Lin Qingya's original intention of creation before, but she always said that she had learned painting since she was a child, and over time she fell in love with the tranquility that painting brought her. Comparing her words with Xiaolingqiao at this moment, the difference was immediately apparent. Xiaolingqiao's creations are truly born for art. Even an audience like me who is not very knowledgeable can feel the vigorous vitality in them. It seems that I really need to get to know Xiaolingqiao better. Chapter 31 Plagiarism. I continued to visit alone for quite a while before Xiaolingqiao came over. The more I watched, the more curious I became about her, and looking deeper into the backstage, it was easy to tell that she was someone who was willing to challenge herself. Compared with the distinctive styles of the first half of her works, she gradually tried different styles in the later part, and her works were not limited to a fixed type. Sorry, I'm a little busy today. I shook my head to indicate that it was okay. After all, this was her home court. I happened to stop in front of a work called Moment. I looked at this painting for a long time because I had seen some of its elements some time ago. I heard that you were a talented girl in the art department when I was in college. Today, I saw with my own eyes that everyone's evaluation of you is indeed objective. Don't make fun of me, college bully. It's just a little hobby. This little hobby of yours won an international award. Ms. Xie is so amazing. Okay, if you keep saying that I'm going to blush. This was the first time I saw Xiaolingqiao's work. In order to confirm some of my inner thoughts, I changed the subject subtly. Come to think of it, you and Lin Qingya often took turns to be the top student in your grade. No wonder you two would always fight whenever you met. Humph, I don't care about those first places. I don't like her simply because. Realizing that what he said was inappropriate, Xiaolingqiao quickly turned off the microphone, his eyes widened like a deer. Why? I looked around and we were standing in a corner with few people passing by. Seeing that my actions showed that I knew what he was talking about, Xiaolingqiao closed his eyes and whispered, because she always plagiarizes my work. When talking about this matter, Xiaolingqiao was unusually angry. There was an international competition in my junior year. I don't know where she saw my work, but she actually plagiarized it and submitted it to the organizing committee one day earlier than me. I was judged to have plagiarized, and the organizing committee disqualified me from participating. How could it be? I was a little surprised. I seem to have heard that Lin Qingya won a grand prize in an international competition when I was a junior. She was indeed very popular in school for a while at that time. Believe it or not, I only left the manuscript of the painting I made back then, and I never created in front of her again. I trust you. At this time, Xiaolingqiao's friend suddenly came to me, and I asked her to go ahead, as I had other things to deal with. After leaving the art gallery, I drove directly back to their house where I used to live with Lin Qingya. There is a studio in the house that was built specifically for Lin Qingya, where she would occasionally stay to create when she was not busy. That is the only place in the house where I didn't install surveillance cameras, because I don't want Lin Qingya to have no space of her own, and I respect her pursuit of art. When I opened the door, a slight musty smell wafted from the studio. I wondered if it was because the owner hadn't used it for a long time. I watched Lin Qingya's works one by one. After seeing Xiaoling Chao's exhibition today, it is actually very easy to see that Lin Qingya's works have heavy traces of imitation. And I also saw the shadow of Xiaoling Chao's works in several paintings she created for my game characters. No wonder Lin Qingya always used the excuse that she could only get inspiration when she was creating alone. It seems that she was plagiarizing Xiaoling Chao's works in the process of creation. I closed the studio door weakly, unable to control myself any longer, and drove straight to the Lin residence to ask Lin Qingya face to face. Lin Qingya, please explain to me clearly, did you draw all these yourself? Chapter 32. What kind of person am I? When Shiyao, what are you crazy about? Lin Qingya looked at the rough drafts of character designs on my phone and rolled her eyes. I went to see Xiaoling Chao's exhibition today. Guess what I found? When Lin Qingya heard Xiaoling Chao's name, her expression changed. However, she had been in charge of Lin's for so long and had experienced many ups and downs in the business world, so she calmed down immediately. What does what you found have to do with me? I was in the house at Champs-Élysées, but I found a work that was 80% similar to the one exhibited by Xiaoling Chao. How do you explain it? Shiyao, please don't spit bloody words at me here. Our Yair has been learning to paint since she was young, and we won't tolerate slander from people like you. After hearing what I said, Lin's mother couldn't sit still anymore. Someone like me. In Aunt Lin's eyes, what kind of person am I? I heard from Jinan that you opened a small, shabby game studio and couldn't find a famous artist. It was our Yair who helped you a lot. But you, not only don't thank Yair, but you also come to our house to cause trouble for Yair. Young people are so impulsive. I don't think your studio will last long. Mr. and Mrs. Lin echoed each other and devalued my studio to nothing. And Chen Jinan didn't know how many jokes he made out of it, he simply turned black into white. Wen Shiyao, don't think I don't know that you just want to step on me to pursue Xiaoling Chao. I'm telling you, I will never let you get what you want. At this moment, I was really stunned for a moment. I didn't expect Lin Qingya to be so shameless. It was clearly me who cheated first, but now she is turning the tables and throwing dirty water on me and Xiaoling Chao. Dad, didn't you say you wouldn't leave me? Are you with another aunt now? Le Xian ran out at some point and heard all of Lin Qingya's dirty words. The little girl's face was now covered with tears. Xian, Daddy won't abandon you. Daddy doesn't have. I reached out to pick up my daughter, but Lin's mother took the child away first. Xian, your father has been bewitched by a vixen outside. He will never want you and Mom again. Aunt Lin. Dad is a bad guy. I never want to see Dad again. The little girl cried out, wow, and I wanted to comfort her, but Lin's mother directly carried her into the inner courtyard. You heard it, your daughter doesn't want you as a father. Lin Qingya pushed me out and slammed the door mercilessly. I stood there dejectedly for a long time. When I found out that Lin Qingya had cheated on me and when Lin Qingya filed for divorce, I didn't think anything of it. By this time, even my own daughter had been corrupted, but I was powerless and could only watch her being taken away. After losing my daughter, I really have no home anymore. Colorful lights interweave in the bar, and exotic female voices sing sad love stories. I drank one glass of wine after another, the hot alcohol burning my stomach, as if this could make me temporarily ignore the empty heart. Shiyao? Why are you here alone? Are you drinking alone? A familiar female voice sounded in my ears. My alcohol-controlled brain took a beat to react. The voice belonged to Xiaoling Chao. Chapter 33. Then I'll recommend myself. I've encountered a tough problem at work. I answered evasively, shaking the ice brick in the wine glass. After knowing that most of Lin Qingya's works were plagiarized, it was even more impossible for me to use the character prototypes she designed. Whether from the perspective of protecting my reputation or from the perspective of the irreparable marriage between Lin Qingya and I, it is impossible for her and I to cooperate. However, it seems that all the famous painters in China have a close relationship with Lin Qingya. Judging from the fact that I have been repeatedly rejected for invitations recently, it is not difficult to guess that she is behind this. Although such a love game is unlikely to cause any irreparable losses to the studio, I don't want the hard work of so many people to go to waste because of me. Is it the dating game you are developing? Yes, we are currently stuck in the prototype design of the game characters. After all, this is a game aimed at the female market, which is very different from what we have done before. Is this worth it for our president when to get drunk late at night? Ling Qingya looked at me with amusement. Although he was teasing me, he didn't mean to mock me. Then I'll recommend myself. Please take some time to look at what I worked hard to draw in order to get this job, Mr. Wen. Ling Qingya fiddled with his phone for a few seconds, and then my phone started to ring. It is also a preliminary draft of the prototype design of a group of main characters, but the protagonists painted by Ling Qingya are either affectionate or gentle, and they all come alive on paper. You have already drawn these? No, I drew these today. They are just preliminary designs. How do you know? Today, when I was chatting with my seniors, I happened to overhear that they had all received character design invitations from a certain studio. Senior sister was quite interested at first, but when she heard that your game was suspected of plagiarism and the copyright ownership was also very controversial, they were all people who valued their reputation, so they simply ignored it. When I heard it, I thought of what you were busy with recently, so I simply asked senior sister to send me some information and try to draw it. I was so excited that I didn't know what to say. I could imagine that Lin Qingya was interfering, but what she did was obviously more excessive than I expected. Ling Qingya, it's a pleasure working with you. I immediately picked up my wine glass and tapped it against Ling Qingya's glass. Mr. Wen, it's a pleasure working with you. Ling Qingya also clinked his glass with me slyly. The issue that had been weighing on my mind was resolved satisfactorily, and I continued chatting with Ling Qingya. In the dim light, alcohol gradually eroded the little rationality left in the brain. When Ling Qingya's hair accidentally fell into the wine glass, my hand moved before my brain did. I picked up the hair and carefully tucked it behind her ear. The outstretched hand broke through the shackles of reason and gently fell on her earlobe, cheek, and finally on her red lips that were as red as dripping cherry blossoms. The looks in both of our eyes had become increasingly blurred. Ling Qingya showed no reaction to my touch, but instead rubbed her cheek in a flattering manner when my hand stroked it. A quarrel suddenly broke out at the table next to me for some reason, and the sudden noisy environment brought me back to my senses. I gently took it back, stood up, shook out my coat and put it over Ling Qingya. It's late, go home. There were 2 blushes on Ling Qingya's cheeks, and she was a little drunk and her movements were a little slow. I simply held her shoulders, half-hugged her in my arms and left the bar. Chapter 34. The child is not yours at all. Even I can't escape the splitting pain in my head the morning after a hangover. What's more, I was forced to wake up, and the banging on the door seemed to wake up everyone in the building. He opened the door sleepily and saw Lin Qingya standing opposite him with a menacing look on her face. I guess it was because I looked really sloppy after just waking up from a hangover, and Lin Qingya didn't even conceal the disdain in her eyes. She pushed me aside and walked into the house. Lin Qingya was as proud as ever, like a little peacock. The 3-bedroom house was not big to begin with. As she pushed open the doors one by one, Lin Qingya seemed to be searching for something with a purpose. Chen Jinan, who was following behind her, was even more ridiculous. He held his cell phone in his hand and followed Lin Qingya the whole time. The 2 of them looked like they were catching someone cheating. Where are you? Where are you hiding? Who? This really confused me. From her confident tone, it seemed as if there should be someone else in my house. Ling Qingya. Didn't you 2 go home together hugging each other last night? On Lin Qingya's phone, there was a photo of me hugging Ling Qingya and leaving the bar. I snatched the phone and checked it. In addition to that photo, there were also photos of me drinking with Ling Qingya, me touching her cheek uncontrollably, and me looking at Ling Qingya with dark eyes. The person who sent these photos was none other than Chen Jinan. When it comes to disgusting people, Chen Jinan is truly unrivaled. Now that I'm hungover, I almost want to vomit all over him. Even if there is another woman in my bed, what does it have to do with you? When Shiyao? Don't forget, we haven't divorced yet. Aren't you leaving soon? Are you so anxious for me to make room for Ling Qingya? I'm telling you, forget it. I shrugged indifferently. She was the one who wanted a divorce, and she was also the one who refused to divorce. It was obvious that she and Chen Jinan had a sweet relationship and it was a good time for them to start over. Could it be that they actually just enjoy the pleasure of this affair? Perhaps seeing that my attitude had softened, Lin Qingya immediately said, "I'll give you one last chance. If you cut off all contact with Xie Lingqiao, I'll reluctantly forgive you. I'll also continue to help you design the protagonist image for your game. Then there's really no need for you to put yourself in a difficult position. I have my own way of dealing with my own problems." How confident is Lin Qingya to think that I can accept her creation without any concern after I found out that she plagiarized? From a business perspective, there's no way I could take the risk of losing money by hiring her. What's more, after seeing Xie Lingqiao's design last night, I no longer like Lin Qingya's work at all. Goodbye. Please make an appointment in advance when you visit me next time. I can't guarantee that I will be the only one in my bed every day. Isn't it just disgusting? Chen Jinan has been playing this role for so long that you've gotten used to it. I kicked them both out directly because I didn't want my good mood for the whole day to be ruined. Lin Qingya was so angry that she wanted to argue with me, but Chen Jinan knew the situation and half carried and half coaxed her away. But I really underestimated Chen Jinan's ability to disgust people. Although he left, his message came right after. "You don't really think that the child that Yair aborted is yours, do you? We did go a bit too far during that time. Yair didn't let me wear a condom several times in order to make me feel good. That child is not yours at all." Chapter 35, File for Divorce. I fell to the ground holding the phone. No wonder Lin Qingya refused to keep the child no matter what. It turned out that the child was not mine at all. The little affection he had left for Lin Qingya was finally worn out by her repeated acts of committing suicide. "What's wrong with you?" Xie Lingqiao rushed over worriedly. Lin Qingya made such a loud noise in the morning that Xie Lingqiao also heard it. "It's okay. I'm going to file for divorce." I was feeling a little depressed, but now I was very determined about the divorce and didn't want to leave any room for Lin Qingya. It just so happens that one of my friends is a famous lawyer in the industry. Maybe he can help you. I was about to say thank you when Xie Lingqiao quickly dialed the other party's number and briefly explained my situation to the other party. "Hello, Lawyer Dai. My main request is to get custody of the child. I don't need to divide the other party's property." After taking the phone, I simply told him the purpose of filing for divorce. Before, because Lin Qingya's family was opposed and considering the child's education, I did make a lot of concessions. But now, when I think about the fact that Lin Qingya was once pregnant with Chen Jinan's child, I can no longer feel at ease to leave Wen Lishuan to her to raise. Lawyer Dai was very efficient. He informed me in the afternoon that their law firm had submitted a complaint to the court. Since there are professional lawyers handling it, I no longer pay much attention to it and focus all my energy on the love game in the studio. Now with the addition of Xie Lingqiao, the character design of the game characters has been carried out in an orderly manner, and the game development has smoothly entered the next stage. When Lin Qingya called me, I was in Xie Lingqiao's studio at home discussing the image of the main character with her. I had already received the court summons in the morning. Lin Qingya called me at this time, so she must have received the summons as well. As expected, when the call was connected, Lin Qingya's abuse came out. "When Shiyao, what are you crazy about again?" I said, "If we get a divorce, I will have custody of our daughter. Don't even think about divorce. You and Chen Jinan will have more children, and I will raise my own children myself." When Lin Qingya mentioned that she had a child with Chen Jinan, her arrogance immediately subsided. I don't want to spoil her anymore. After going through all these things, I just want to break up with her as soon as possible and let her stop disturbing my life. I didn't hide it from Xie Lingqiao when I answered the phone. Since we became neighbors, she has helped me more than once, and she knows all about the troubles between Lin Qingya and me. She also knew that I was only fighting for the custody of the child, so not long after hanging up the phone, she eagerly ran to the next room and got a card. Lin Qingya will definitely use her family's superior financial conditions as a bargaining chip. Besides, your child is still young, so you won't have an advantage in the fight for custody. This card contains some of my personal savings. You can use it first. If your financial situation is stable, you will have a better chance of winning custody. I didn't expect Xie Lingqiao to have considered so much. I looked at the bank card in her fair fingertips, and my eyes suddenly became wet. "Thank you for your kindness, but don't worry, I have money." Although I have been a full-time househusband these years, I am not completely useless. In addition to the considerable profits brought by the studio, I used my computer skills to help several friends solve many problems, and they were paid well. It's just that I'm used to living a life of self-reliance for ordinary people, so I never show my wealth to the outside world, and therefore I prevent many people with impure intentions from getting close to me. Chapter 36. I can help you. The only problem that bothers me now is how to get along with the child. Wen Lishuan has been raised by father and mother Lin in Lin's house since she was a child. I have seen so little time with her that I don't even know her preferences. After subconsciously speaking about my troubles, I was surprised to realize that Xie Lingqiao seemed to have some kind of magical power. As long as I stay by her side, I can't help but reveal my true inner thoughts when chatting with her. I know that such a man is cowardly and useless, but Xie Lingqiao will never look down on me. Her advice to me always hits the point and has an enlightening effect on me. It's okay. The feelings between people gradually deepen as they get along day after day. Besides, you are the closest blood relatives in the world. As long as you can respect and love her, she will understand one day. But I'm not very good at taking care of children, and even trying to make her happy often backfires. In fact, you don't need to be too cautious when interacting with children. Just think about how you wanted to be treated when you were a child, and treat children that way now. I don't know whether winning custody rights will be good or bad for Wen Lishuan. Okay, don't worry so much. If you can't handle it, I can help you. Xie Lingqiao's taking on so much responsibility suddenly made me see the reality clearly. I don't know when it started, but I seem to have gotten used to having Xie Lingqiao around me. I seem to have developed some dependence on her. However, when I thought of Lin Qingya's arrogant look when she caught the adulterer, I immediately became deflated. Lin Qingya has never been an easy person to deal with, and she and Xie Lingqiao have never gotten along, so I can't involve Xie Lingqiao at this time. The design department has sent back revision suggestions. The action images of the two protagonists still need to be revised. Come and see. I abruptly changed the subject and shifted the focus back to work. Xie Lingqiao also followed my lead and started talking about his ideas for revision. She has high attainments in art creation. Although she cooperated with our game planner to create the image of the protagonist, she also provided a lot of fresh ideas. With her real female perspective, our game development has achieved twice the result with half the effort. Perhaps, are you interested in joining my studio? Can I? Xie Lingqiao was obviously very interested in my proposal, so I continued. Since the studio has decided to share a share of the pie for female players, it will definitely not be limited to this one game. This is another thing I'm preparing for recently. I plan to inject more fresh blood into the studio and let women who understand the psychology of female players better join in. It's really my honor to work with you. During this period of time, Xie Lingqiao praised me for my dedication to work more than once. It's settled then. I'll have assistant Zhang prepare the contract right away. Not long after, the first draft of the cooperation agreement was drawn up, and I showed it to Xie Lingqiao during the break when she was revising the draft. Your studio is Qingya Studio. Yeah, what's the problem? I didn't expect it was you who opened the famous and renowned Qingya Studio. You are a big name in the industry. Don't tease me. I just wanted to play some games that boys like to play on a whim. I didn't expect that I would become successful in it. Although the studio has indeed been very successful in recent years, I still feel a little embarrassed to be praised so highly by people I know. Chapter 37. The Bad Woman Who Doesn't Like to Steal Dad. After working non-stop for many days, the weekend finally arrives. Considering that I needed to build more relationships with the child before winning custody, I had to take the initiative to contact Lin Qingya and ask her to take Wen Lishuan out to play. Perhaps the court summons was indeed intimidating, and this time Lin Qingya did not act up and agreed immediately. Her only request was to personally send her daughter to my house. Early on Saturday morning, I prepared a nutritionally balanced breakfast for the children and waited for Lin Qingya to bring Wen Lishuan over. It was Xie Lingqiao who knocked on the door first. Several protagonists of the game have entered the modeling stage. Xie Lingqiao has been almost exclusively in the studio these days. As her neighbor, I also see her most often in the studio. It's done. Come and see. Xie Lingqiao excitedly held the tablet in front of me, and several lifelike characters appeared before my eyes. You are so fast. Even I couldn't help but be surprised. I didn't expect such a beautiful picture effect to be presented so quickly. Ling Qiao and I put our heads together and began to carefully study the figures of the little people on the tablet. When Shiyao, you asked your daughter to come here just to let her watch you being affectionate with another woman. Lin Qingya's voice suddenly appeared. I looked up and saw that she was standing at the door with Wen Lishuan without me noticing. What nonsense are you talking about? We were just talking about work. I frowned to show my displeasure. Lin Qingya is like this every time, throwing dirty water on me and Ling Qiao as soon as she opens her mouth. If Ling Qiao hadn't cared about these things, I would have lost such an excellent partner long ago. Tell me, what kind of work would you discuss on a Saturday morning, and why are you wearing such cool clothes? Lin Qingya's eyes swept over Ling Qiao like X-rays. I glanced down and noticed that Ling Qiao was still wearing her silk suspender nightgown, with her slightly messy hair casually draped over her shoulders. It was obvious that she had just gotten up. She stood in front of Ling Qiao unnoticeably, preventing Lin Qingya from examining her. Don't worry about that. You have already sent your daughter here in person. Please go back. I will send her back on time in the evening. I reached out to hold my daughter's hand, but the little one slapped my hand away. I don't like bad women who steal other people's fathers. I don't want to hang out with bad women. My daughter's words made me feel very embarrassed. But this made me more determined to fight for custody. She is so young, yet she has learned to be like this. I was just about to start teaching my daughter a lesson when Wen Lishuan suddenly produced a box of exquisite and lovely candies from somewhere and handed it to my daughter. You must be little Xian, right? Your teacher must have told you that it is impolite to speak like that. The little guy's attention was indeed attracted by the candy, and his bright eyes were full of love for the candy. Lin Qingya, however, did not appreciate it at all and directly knocked the candy in Ling Qiao's hand to the ground. Ling Qiao, I will teach my daughter myself. I hope you won't interfere in other people's relationships and meddle in other people's family affairs. Lin Qingya, if you really know how to educate your children, Xian, as a descendant of a famous family, shouldn't have said such rude words just now. When it comes to confronting Lin Qingya, Ling Qiao rarely fails. Besides, who was at fault first? Are you sure you want me to say it in front of the child? Seeing that Ling Qiao was about to expose her past, Lin Qingya could no longer sit still. Chapter 38 Wonderful Circle of Friends. Xian, come home with me. It seems we are not welcome here. Unable to convince Ling Qiao, Lin Qingya simply took her daughter away. I followed the mother and daughter out of the house, not wanting to miss the opportunity to spend time with my children. Lin Qingya, you promised me that I will take care of the kids this weekend. Are you playing with the child? Or are you letting the child watch you and Ling Qiao play? Whether you believe it or not, there is nothing between Ling Qiao and me. We were just talking about work today. Lin Qingya obviously only wanted to believe what she wanted to see, and no matter how I explained it, it was useless. Okay, anyway, it's either her or me. If you want to see the child, you must cut off contact with Ling Qiao and withdraw the divorce lawsuit. Both of Lin Qingya's requests make no sense, and there is no way I can agree to them. No, Ling Qiao and I still have work dealings, so a meeting is essential. As for the divorce lawsuit, as long as you agree to sign the divorce agreement, I can withdraw the lawsuit. Seeing my firm attitude, Lin Qingya simply stopped pretending to be a good person and pointed at me and said, "You haven't worked for a long time, and the circles you interact with are not at the same level as mine. Do you really think the court will award the child to someone like you? Let's wait and see what the court will decide." Lin Qingya was fearless due to the social status of Lin's enterprise, but she obviously forgot that the evidence in my hand was enough to ruin her reputation. Now it's just because she is Wen Lishuan's mother that I don't want the child to be implicated by adult matters. Lin Qingya left with her daughter in a rage. I didn't want to argue in front of the children anymore, so I just let them go. In the next few days, Lin Qingya simply put me on the blacklist and I couldn't contact her at all. Chen Jinan's circle of friends, on the other hand, is quite lively, with at least 2 or 3 posts a day, and at most 7 or 8. I checked in at a delicious restaurant with Lin Qingya and wanted to post a record on WeChat Moments. Lin Qingya gave him a nice tie to express her love. Even when he was taking Lin Qingya to and from get off work, he would post it on his moments at a fixed time and place, just like punching in at work, and would add a picture of his jawline, which he thought was extremely handsome. I quietly record the screen and take screenshots every day, and feel that they are so fearless and rush to send me evidence. As the day of leaving the court is getting closer, I don't have much time to spend with my daughter, and I feel a little anxious. Seeing that I was distracted frequently, Lin Qingya thought something had gone wrong in the studio and asked me about the situation worriedly. Last time Lin Qingya brought my daughter home, I didn't have time to develop a relationship with her, and recently I haven't been able to contact her at all. So that's what you're worried about. Why do you have to wait for her to nod before you can see the child? You can just go to the kindergarten to pick up your daughter after school. I didn't expect Lin Qingya's suggestion. I have always been a gentleman and thought that I should try my best to interact with my daughter with Lin Qingya's permission. But Lin Qingya's education is already so bad, why should I ask for her permission? That afternoon, I waited directly at the gate of Wen Lishuan's kindergarten. I simply acted first and asked for permission later, taking the child home and slowly nurturing their relationship. Dad. Why are you here? Of course I'm here to take you home. Where's Mom? She's still at work. I'll take you home first and then take you back to your mother later. No. Mom promised me this morning that she would come pick me up in person today. I didn't expect that my daughter would refuse to go home with me unless she saw Lin Qingya. Chapter 39. Why did you take my daughter away secretly? The sky gradually darkened, and Lin Qingya still blocked me, so I couldn't contact her at all. The kindergarten teacher also tried to contact Lin Qingya, but she didn't answer the phone at all. My daughter didn't want to leave until she saw her mother, so I had to wait with her in the toy room of the kindergarten. My phone suddenly received a bunch of messages. Based on my previous intuition, I guessed that it was probably another bombardment of pictures sent by Chen Jinan. Sure enough, when I opened it, all I saw were large-scale intimate photos of Chen Jinan and Lin Qingya. I can't help but find it ridiculous. I'm not the one who is dragging on with the divorce, but is still dreaming of irritating me with these intimate photos every day. The only impact that Chen Jinan's actions had on me was that it made me more determined to get back the custody of my daughter. It was already dark, and Lin Qingya hadn't even remembered that her daughter was still waiting for her to pick her up in the kindergarten. This showed that she didn't really care about her daughter. Are you hungry, baby? Daddy will take you to eat something delicious first, and then we can wait for mommy to pick you up, okay? After playing with my daughter for so long, she gradually developed a sense of closeness to me. Unable to resist the temptation of delicious food, my daughter finally nodded and agreed to go to the restaurant with me to eat. I was in a rush during dinner. I seldom spend time with my children, but I only realized today that the little one can already eat with chopsticks by himself. But I am also very fortunate that it was through such contact that I finally made up for the pain of not being able to accompany my children all these years. Dad, this way. As soon as we walked out of the restaurant, my daughter grabbed my hand and ran straight to the toy store not far away. Accompanying her on a shopping spree, I got to know more about children's love for toys. My daughter, who was having so much fun, fell asleep on my shoulder before she even got on the bus. It was already late at night when I returned home with my daughter in my arms. Fortunately, I had already decided to raise my daughter myself. I hired a designer to decorate the children's room at home early in the morning. Now everything my daughter needs is complete. I gently put my daughter on the children's bed and looked at the little person's angelic sleeping face. My heart was filled with warmth. Fortunately, my daughter is still young and everything is still possible. At this time, the door was shut loudly. The one who would make such a noise in the middle of the night, I knew it was Lin Qingya without even looking. She was used to it, and she had lived in a private villa since she was a child. She had no idea what kind of trouble such movements in the middle of the night would cause to the surrounding neighbors. Afraid of waking up the child, I took a few steps to open the door. Why did you take your daughter away without permission? Lin Qingya didn't even ask about her daughter's situation, but started questioning me as soon as she saw me. I sneered, why don't you think about what you did to your daughter? When I took Wen Lishuan away from the kindergarten, there was no one else in the kindergarten except her teacher. During the conversation with the teacher, I learned that this was not the first time that Lin Qingya forgot to pick up her child. Even when Lishuan seemed to have gotten used to her mother forgetting to pick her up after school and her teacher waiting with her in the toy room. I was just too busy today and forgot to pick up my daughter. When Lin Qingya said this, her momentum obviously weakened. Just today. I asked back in a calm voice, if I hadn't gotten the custody of my daughter yet, I would never let her get close to my daughter again. When Shiyao, you tricked the child away and you still think you're right. Seeing Lin Qingya's momentum declining, Chen Jinan quickly retorted. I glanced at him indifferently and didn't want to pay any attention to him at all. On the one hand, she sent me photos to stimulate me like checking in, and on the other hand, she pretended to care about Lin Qingya's child. I almost felt nauseous from the smell of green tea. Chapter 40. Will you still choose? Chen Jinan was still talking nonsense when suddenly a slight noise came from the children's room. The daughter came out rubbing her sleepy eyes, and her eyes turned red when she saw Lin Qingya. Baby, mommy is here to pick you up. Lin Qingya reached out her hand to her daughter in a flattering manner. But my daughter turned her head angrily and threw herself into my arms. I want to stay with daddy. It seems that attentive and sincere companionship is really useful. My daughter is now willing to take the initiative to get close to me. Baby, I forgot today. I promise I won't do it again. Come home with me. If your promise worked, my daughter wouldn't have waited so long. I sneered and mocked Lin Qingya. It was not the first time she made a promise, but the promise had no credibility in her eyes. Holding my daughter tightly, I quickly and decisively asked Lin Qingya and Chen Jinan to leave the house. Anyway, the trial is about to begin, and I can't let my daughter be tortured by Lin Qingya anymore. Although Wen Lishuan was angry and kept shouting that she wanted to stay with me, not long after Lin Qingya left, she started crying and refused to sleep. I was overwhelmed. This was my first time to take a child overnight, and I was at a loss as to what to do when my daughter would not stop crying. Xialing Chao's voice suddenly sounded outside the door. Such a loud noise in the middle of the night finally woke her up. He opened the door in a panic and saw Wen Lishuan still crying on the sofa. Help me in an emergency. Last time I saw you, you seemed to be very good at coaxing children. Now I don't care whether to disturb her or not. Looking at my daughter's tear-stained face, I just want to coax her as soon as possible. Xialing Chao went over and picked up Wen Lishuan, patting her back gently while whispering something to the child. Not long after, the daughter who had been crying non-stop just now gradually calmed down, from crying loudly to sobbing softly. He was not as excited as before, and even spoke to Xialing Chao in a low voice. Afterwards, Xialing Chao took Wen Lishuan to the bathroom to wash her face and hands, and helped her tie up her hair that was stuck to her face due to sweat and tears. After doing all this, Xialing Chao naturally led Wen Lishuan into the children's room and laid her on the bed. Before Xialing Chao finished his bedtime story, the little guy on the bed closed his eyes and began to breathe evenly. I gave her a thumbs up in gratitude. She really knows how to deal with children. Xialing Chao lay with Wen Lishuan for a while and left the room only after she fell asleep. You are amazing. Not only are you so talented in art, but you are also good at coaxing children. My praise made Xialing Chao's cheeks slightly red. Actually, there are some techniques for coaxing children. I can teach you slowly in the future. How do you even know this? I often go to welfare homes as a volunteer. Most of the children there have sensitive personalities, so I studied some child psychology. I couldn't help but give Xialing Chao a thumbs up again. She is much better than I thought. Before, during Lin Qingya's instigation, I didn't see Xialing Chao's brilliance. Now, in my day-to-day contact, I see a woman who is independent, strong, kind and brave. She will not flatter the powerful and look down on the weak, nor will she bully the good and fear the evil. Such a wonderful woman, but it was not until many years later that I gradually got to know the real her. I don't know if I would have still chosen to marry Lin Qingya and have children without hesitation if I had known the real Xialing Chao at that time. The sudden thought in my mind scared me. I didn't know when I started to have different feelings towards Xialing Chao?